Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I will always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
You have entered into a dimension of truth, where time does not exist, and illusions are shattered. The journey of truth is intense. The journey of truth will set you free. Consider this a warning as you enter the dimension of truth uncompromised. All right, family. Welcome to Truth Uncompromised Show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, February 28th. We have a great show planned for you tonight. We are continuing with our series, The Forgotten Black Royals and the Americas, Part 6. So if you've been on this journey with us during this series, we uncovered who the true seat of power is for the crown in Europe. We also discovered that the folks that held the seat of power in Europe, so we're talking in Britain, Greece, Italy, Sweden, France, were all melanated people. So last week we dived a little bit deeper into how that particular black noble or royals still really exist behind the scenes through the Italian Venetians. And we also discussed how the Windsor name came into play, the royal line that we see today. So this week we're going to continue with that discussion. We're going to do just a little bit of recap once again regarding the switch of power from the Black nobility over to the name of the Windsors. And I have some very interesting follow-up happened to me over the weekend as I was at a film festival, and it tied right into the topic of the Black nobility. So with that said, I am going to bring on my co-host. I see Brother Sean and Sis Sandra in the queue, so let me bring on Brother Sean. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Wholeness and power, sis. I'm well. How about you?
I'm well. Good to hear your voice.
Likewise.
All right. Let me bring on Sis Sandra. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Peace and love to you, sis, and Brother Sean. I'm doing great. Can't complain.
Wholeness and power.
How you guys?
Good.
How's it? Hello, family. Hello.
Good to hear your voice, sis.
Good to hear yours too.
Okay. Just real quick before I forget. I know I've mentioned this YouTube channel before. I really like this man's work. The YouTube channel is Donnie of Daytona, and he takes his drones up. He's in Daytona, Florida. So he takes his drone. He has really good equipment. He takes his drones up and monitors the sun and the sky. Okay, and then he also has powerful telescopes as well. So, we've been talking about that, there are multiple suns in the sky. People have captured 2 suns. People have captured 3 suns. So this gentleman the other day, I think it was day before yesterday, he literally caught 3 suns in the sky, traveling one behind each other, where they were masking it with clouds and that artificial sun. And so a couple of us that were viewing the video, we even saw an extra sun that he didn't get. So he caught 4 suns in the sky. And once they came from behind that dark cloud, only one of the suns appeared. So, I'm thinking it was some sort of dimensional thing where it was a break in the dimensional space that showed all of the 4 suns, and then only the 1 sun came out the other side. So I would highly encourage you all to check his channel out. That's Donnie of Daytona. He gets some excellent footage. He always catches the artificial sun in the sky. He is even so good, he has been able to zoom all the way in and catch the literal dome over the earth. And he has caught the stars embedded inside of the dome. And he caught Sirius, and where the waters above the dome, you can see them moving across Sirius. So I highly, highly recommend you check out his work. He has a lot of work out there, and he posts at least 1 video a day. So again, that's Donnie of Daytona. So I'll pause because I have a lot of other stuff. So I wanted Brother Sean, you have anything you want to share with the family? You got any? Go ahead on with the fuckery.
Indeed. Let me see where to begin.
I know, it's always so much. Always.
We can start with this Nasera, Jacera thing.
Mm-hmm.
It may just actually happen because it's the New Deal that they've been planning all along. And they've been stringing people along, past 15, 20 years they've been talking about this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're making things so terrible that people are willing to take a deal with just about anybody.
Just about anything. Mm-hmm.
If it sounds good.
Yeah.
But people aren't paying attention to the language and all of this. Nowhere, and I mean nowhere, in any of this are the Aboriginal people considered. And it's not that we should even be considered. This should be approved by us.
By us, absolutely.
Not
Absolutely.
something that we're partaking in.
Absolutely.
It's whether or not we're approving, whether or not we're going to let them continue to do business.
Exactly.
They still keep trying to get us to sign on to deals.
Yep, not going to
And
happen.
the Democrats even offering the deal, what they call it, the Green Deal, the new Green Deal.
Oh, I haven't
And
even
they
heard
also,
of that.
Yeah, they also talking about that they go discharge debts, and that's where they got Kamala Harris talking all this stuff about reparations.
Oh, okay.
All this bullshit.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all just a big smoke screen.
Right. To try
The
to
bottom
get consent.
line is, right, the bottom line is to get you to sign on again.
Right.
Period. If you accept their new currency, you accept the new deal. This is
Right.
the deal that they're offering the entire world.
Yep.
They're saying that they're going to free the whole world from debt under Nasera and Jacera.
Mm-hmm.
Your one world government
Mm-hmm.
that y'all think that y'all running from.
Right.
And it has to be said, the Patriot movement,
Mm-hmm.
all they done was got y'all to identify yourselves. Majority of y'all was quiet. They didn't know who leaned to what side. Now you on that red list.
Mm.
You're officially a terrorist. It's all the same system. Y'all keep saying Trump are independent.
No, he's not.
Okay, he may not be a career politician,
But
that bloodline, say something different.
That's what I keep saying, and that's why I keep saying not to look for him as a savior. But we've traced the bloodlines. We just did it, so we know he's a part of that bloodline. So it's the same system. They're just remixing it.
Right.
Whether they got infighting or not, they always did that. Ain't nothing new. They always did everything.
Yep.
But the thing is, they're in such a panic now because they know that the whole game is up unless we sign back on to
consent.
something.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. It's not going to happen because the debt that they're supposedly and allegedly willing to discharge, it's not your debt anyway.
Right.
There is no debt.
Exactly. There's no debt. They're supposed to be over here. Well, number one, they ain't supposed to be over here fucking, period. That's a whole nother story. But it was only to do business on the indigenous folks' land. So it does not work that we owe them and they tell us what we're supposed to get on our shit. That's not how that's played out. But if people keep conditioning themselves,
If you think about it, it's like with the deal Trump cut with China, selling them food, letting them do things here, where they supposed to be able to lease land or own land because of the debt that the corporation owes them.
Right.
It's the same thing all over again. China is in place to be the new face of the Caucasians.
You got it.
They all over the fucking world, setting up rail systems, all type of everything.
Yep.
All
And
while
wasn't
they people starving to death. I'm just saying, all while they people in smog and starving to death.
Yeah. Yep. And wasn't that?
One more thing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you think about it, that brings us full circle with why this Tartarian bullshit.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna say next.
So
go ahead on with it, brother.
It's the same motherfucker.
Yep. So we on to y'all, the ones that's pushing Tartarian, and not everybody knows. But the main ones that's pushing it, you know who you are. You've been busted because you've been asked, well, if this Tartarian Empire ruled, then who was the black nobles? Who was the black Moors? Fucking silence. Because they're trying to, cook up this beautiful narrative about how we had this, that, and the third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this type of technology, which I believe them on the technology. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to give them that on the technology. But the rest of that shit they selling, it was the same exact empire. That Tartarian Empire was a Mongoloid, Asian-driven empire that also had a blend of Europe. So we're on to you.
I can't even give it to them on the technology. Because if you think about Genghis Khan and them, they was goddamn horrible. I mean, you hear nothing in this history about them building any goddamn thing. All they done was run around killing and fucking.
Right.
Yeah, now I don't believe the Mongolians, Genghis Khan and them built anything. I believe.
But they all the same people. But they all the same people, though.
They can't.
The Tartarians and the barbarians, they're the same people.
They really are. That's true. They really are.
They
really are.
Because they
really are.
Doing you see in the videos, like, with these people that's pushing this Tartarian stuff, you'll see them go right on the melanated person and say, oh, well, something happened to the indigenous people, and keep going. And then
Sure
will.
Sure will. I busted them in it and just fucking silence. I'm like, oh, you just gonna gloss past that. Yeah, it's just something they're trying to. Sis, you got too much background noise. It's just something that they're just trying to re-cook up, to re-fantasize, to get the populace to buy into, if we just go back to free technology and free energy, then everything's going to be better. Well, guess what, y'all? We're going to fucking get that anyway. And not because they're giving it to you, it's because Mother Earth and her frequency is demanding for it to happen. So they're scrambling. And it's up to you on whether or not you want to sign back on to the bull crap, to the tricks and the games. But it's the same people, the same deal. Everybody running around talking about stopping the New World Order. The New World Order done been happened. That's the con, making you think that it ain't happened. It's already happened. It's been the same empire ruling it. The New World Order was coming in, conquering the lands of the indigenous people across the planet. And
You know, Rhonda, the IMF is the International Monetary Fund. They're the ones who control your Social Security and your Social Security numbers. They give them to you and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, at the end of that or at the top of that hierarchy, it's the Pope. The Pope controls everything. So the IMF is in control of this dollar system. So if people don't get it, I'll bring it down. They're in control of this fiat dollar system. They're the ones who run the whole thing. Now, with this new deal they're trying to put up, the GIM or whatever they call them, ZIM system or whatever, they're saying okay to that too. There's no difference. There is absolutely no difference to what you have now and what they're telling you you're going to get. And they're not going to pay off the little man's debt. They're going to pay off the big man's debt, just like they did the banking system.
Even if they do, let's say if they do, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So fucking what?
We don't win.
It's still slavery.
That's right.
It's slavery to have to pay to live on land that you are inherently the caretaker of.
Already the owner.
Anytime, and as long as they continue with the monetary system that they are in control of, that equals enslavement. Bottom line, we've already shown you going back to where banking started. It started with the Greeks and the Venetians. And every one of their civilizations, not one of them, not two or three of them, all of their civilizations keep collapsing over time. And a lot of the collapses they plan, I'll give you that granted, but they would have collapsed anyway because it is against natural law. And until people enter and overstand, anything outside of natural law will fail. Anything outside of natural law will continue to enslave you. Until people realize you don't need anyone to govern over you, you don't need a savior, you have everything that you need. You have been given everything that you need. You're going to continue to be enslaved. They're not doing anything for you. It's yours by birthright. But if you keep turning over your inherent birthright for them to manage, they're going to mismanage it and treat you the way they fucking want to treat you. Just that simple. So, okay. I'm sorry, sis. Did you have anything you wanted to discuss? Go ahead on with the fuckery.
Well, I'm just getting tired of being in somebody's bedroom with this mess with that Cohen stuff. I mean,
I didn't even watch that bull crap.
I didn't watch it. You know what? I don't care. That woman was a grown woman. Prostitution has been legal for years. In some places, even more so legal.
This one of the oldest professions.
It's the
right?
oldest. I don't care if she was worth $130,000 or $2. It's still the same stuff. So I don't care, and I get so tired of people saying, "Did you hear him? He did." I said, "What you got to do with what he did with his wife, or to his wife? It's none of your business. It ain't got nothing to do with him running this country." And these people are wasting thousands and millions of dollars covering this garbage. The Senate is meeting, the House, all these people are trying to get dirt on him so everybody else who loves soapboxes, which is another soapbox, and it's another distraction for what they really do win, and nobody's paying attention.
As usual.
is so focused on the old okey doke soapbox.
Right.
Do you really care what he did with a woman? Now that's what I'm upset about. I get so tired of people talking. Did you watch that? Did you? No. I don't care what he did.
Right. And and it's the same script, because did they not pull this same script with Clinton and what's her face? Who gives a damn?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, but it's just part of the programming to keep people off of what's really going on. Meanwhile, you have 4-5 motherfucking suns showing up, plasma shooting across the sky, snowing in Las Vegas, California, Hawaii, but motherfuckers ain't talking about that. That's what's crazy to me. That's what's crazy to me. So, but no, I 1000% agree with you, sis. I 1000% agree with you. Okay, family.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
But just to add on to that Miss Sarah just said, and all these people thinking that these trusts are put in place for all of mankind. No, in place for their people being in foreign land on a mission of conquest. All those trusts are through the Bible and affiliated with biblical characters.
Yep.
Now, people will sit up and say how the Bible is talking about the land over here and the people over here. I don't give a flying fuck about that. It wasn't wrote here. And it wasn't wrote to benefit the people here.
Right.
People have talked about us over here forever. Just because they talked about us in the so-called Bible, so what? They talked about the Nephilim in there, the Nephilim in there. They talked about giants in there. They talked about everything in there.
Right.
But they also talked about all that stuff in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And, it's quite a few other books that talk about this stuff. You dig?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I'm sorry, brother. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
I just want the family to know, ain't none of those trusts real.
No.
There's no real money behind it, and ain't none of it talking about giving the land back over to the Aboriginal people. And everybody always admits, all of them admits that there was Aboriginal people.
Yeah, they can't deny it.
So,
H.R. 331, the Congress passed it, and it's supposed to be a trust that they going to take care of us, educational-wise and all otherwise. Have they? No.
Yeah.
No, they have
got
not.
us exactly where they want us.
They got us where they want us.
Dumb, confused, fighting each other, not knowing who we are, going along with anything and everything.
Any and everything, right. And that's
not
why
thinking for ourselves.
And that's why I keep screaming about the land, because the wealth is in the land. You are attached to the land. The rest of that shit is illusions, and it's going away. So, very, very good points. Very, very good points. Had another point and I didn't forget it. Oh, well. Okay, family. Here's the deal. I went to a film festival over the weekend, and it lasted for about 8 hours. I was like there all day because they were playing all of the movies that were nominated for Oscars. So I only got to see half of them because it went last week. But anyhow, nonetheless. So I was sitting there talking to some other people, and they were asking me, did I see the movie The Favorite? And I said, no, are they playing it today? They said, no, they played it at last week's. I said, oh, well, I missed last week. I said, what is it about? And they said, well, it's about Queen Anne of England. And I perked up. I said, really? And they said, yeah, that's the best one. That's the best one. If you can, see that one. I said, okay, then. So, I'm like, oh, I got to go see that. So, anyway, I got home from the festival because the movie is kind of old. I said, well, let me see if Amazon got it. Sure enough, Amazon had it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to break down and buy it. I'm sure I'm going to catch some jewels so I can share with the family on Thursday. I didn't like the movie. I'm going to say off the bat, the little acting the women were doing, beautiful, the storyline. I'm like, so the hell what? But the jewels that I caught in the movie knocked my socks off because I'm sitting there looking at the movie, and in the first scene, guess who picture they show above the mantle? I about fell out my fucking chair. The melanated King James, because Anne is his daughter. And it was so quick, nobody else would have known what they were looking for. But because we have researched it, so that same picture of King James that I've been putting in all of the promos, I put it in Demonology promo, it's in this series promo, they showed that same fucking photo in this movie, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So that made me start paying attention to all of the pictures throughout the movie, and another one of the pictures of her mom, because all of the pictures that I have seen of her mom, whose name was Anne as well, she's a light-skinned melanated woman. I caught a picture of her in the movie as well. So I'm sitting here like, they just gonna put the shit in plain sight, but you gotta know what you're looking at. So that made me go back and say, okay, so who is Queen Anne? Then I'm like, wait a minute, who did I make as the main picture in this particular promo? And sure enough, I looked it up, and it's one of King James's daughters, but her name is Elizabeth Anne. So she is the sister of Queen Anne. So Queen Anne, that movie that, as a matter of fact, they won a lot of Oscars for that movie. Again, I didn't care for the movie. The acting was great, whatever. I didn't care for the storyline. Who the hell cares? But that particular Queen Anne that they did the favorite on, she was the last of the stewards that ruled the throne. So after her reign, then King Charles, them motherfucking stinking ass, still the same family now, they came on the throne, but they were from Germany. Okay? So that's how you have the current regime that has that German flavor and bloodline, and King Charles was the one that gave the authorization for the name to be changed to Windsor, because their old name, what was it, that Saxon had a bad reputation. So they changed the branding on it, and that's when the Windsor came into play. Okay, so I'm saying all that to say it was no accident that they put that movie out at this particular time. Unfortunately, no, not unfortunately, I know why they did what they did, because the movie was about two particular other broads fighting over power to get Queen Anne's attention, and they basically were trying to play it like it was all lesbianism. I don't give a damn about none of that, okay? But, that's how Hollywood do. But it was no accident for them to put that particular movie out, because she was the last of the stewards to sit on that throne, okay? Because the war between those bloodlines was between the stewards and the folks in Germany. That whole Saxon, Coburg bloodline. It was that same family line warring with each other. Okay, so I found that interesting. So just to reiterate how the Windsors got the throne, and I appreciate Sis Cheryl for pulling this information, but I want to read it again so we can keep these things clearly in our minds, so we can enter and understand how they tie in today. Because tonight we're going to get even deeper into the stewards, and we finna get into these surnames. So, to my melanated family, I want you to pay very fucking close attention when we get into these surnames. Because as I read these surnames, I know mostly all melanated people that hold these surnames. So that means your bloodline ties in both places, in the Americas and over there in Europe. All right, so let's go to how the Windsors got the throne. Okay, so we're talking how the folks that are on the throne today got the throne. Ties to Germany, commonly called the House of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. The actual name of the family was Wettin. Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha was Duke of Saxony and a Prince of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha when he married Queen Victoria on 10th February 1840. His father, Ernest, was the reigning Duke of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha until his death in 1844, when he was succeeded by his eldest son, Ernest II, Prince Albert's elder brother. The personal union of Hanover and Great Britain ended in 1837. Salic law barred women from inheriting the throne of Hanover. Queen Victoria was the last monarch of the House of Hanover on the British throne. Her son, King Edward VIII, was the first British monarch of the House of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha through his father being the Duke of Saxony and Prince of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. As Ernest II had no children, Victoria and Albert's eldest son, the future King Edward VIII, was the heir to the duchy. Rather than have a personal union, as there had been between Hanover and the Great Britain, he renounced his rights to Saxe-Coburg-Gotha in favor of his brother, Prince Alfred, Duke of Edinburgh. Became the reigning duke in 1894. Alfred's only son preceded him in 1899, and the next male heir in line, Prince Arthur, Duke of Connaught, and his son, Prince Arthur of Connaught, both renounced their rights to the duchy. The next heir was the son of Prince Leopold, Duke of Albany. Prince Charles Edward II, Duke of Albany, became the reigning Duke of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha on his uncle Alfred's death in 1900. With the war and understandable anti-German feeling in the UK, it was felt necessary that for the royal family to renounce all German titles. A number of suggestions were made, usually recalling earlier royal houses. One such suggestion from Duke of Connaught was Tudor Stuart. Okay, so remember, Stuart is King James' name. King James' mother's maiden name is Stuart, and that Tudor name goes back very far in other dynasties. I even think, if I remember correctly, it touches Russia as well. I'm pretty sure that it does. But former Prime Minister Lord Rosebery and Mr. Asquith both felt they had inauspicious associations. Other names considered but swiftly rejected were Plantagenet, York, and Lancaster. The Este and Fitzroy were also considered. Even England was suggested. It was the King's private secretary, Lord Stamford, who came up with the name Windsor, which had never been used before, and which was approved by the King. The proclamation was sent out from the Privy Council office to other government departments and overseas to the dominions and colonies, and was established and was published in the press on the following day. Okay, so I just want to be clear so we enter and overstand. Queen Anne, who was King James's daughter, and we're going to discuss what happened with King James tonight, was the last of the Stuarts to sit on the throne. King Charles and them, who are from Germany, they sat over the throne of Hanover with their name of that Saxe-Coburg, came in after that. Okay, and from that point on, you have that German bloodline that is sitting on Britain's throne. Okay, but that still has nothing to, well, it does have something to do with, but you still take into consideration that Venetian black nobility royals who really still run everything behind the scenes. Because last week we ran through all of those particular family surnames as best I could. I know I jumbled up a lot of them, okay? But interestingly enough, we saw where the Bushes and them, real surname is tied to that Venetian bloodline. And interestingly enough, because another movie that I saw at the festival, which is really, really good, was on Dick Cheney's Funky Stankin' Ass. That was really, really a good movie, by the way. Okay, and it reminded me because he was the CEO of that company. What is it? What's the defense company, y'all? Halliburton.
Halliburton.
Yeah, Halliburton. That is also one of the surnames that showed up in one of those Venetian bloodlines. Okay, so just to show you how these people holding these seats of power around the world, and especially as it is concerning the Americas and Europe, it's the same group of people. You just have to do your research, and the power just switched hands among the parties. Among the families, as they did their little infighting. But it's still really the same bloodline. But above it all, the Venetians still holds the seat of power. Okay, so I'll pause in case y'all want to put something on it before we move on. Whew, okay, I had to get something to drink right quick. All righty, sorry, go ahead, sis.
I know that Halliburton is a big oil company, and
yes.
They're big in California, and they were over there in the Gulf and everywhere taking the blood of Mother Earth.
Right,
out.
Because they had the no-bid contract. So in other words, any one of those military contracts that came up during that Afghanistan, Iraq, and I'm not too sure about the Iraq war. I think so. I think that one too.
I think Iraq too.
Yeah. Nobody else won the contract. They gave it to them.
They wouldn't have, because nobody else in. I said they wouldn't have.
Yeah. Exactly. It's because it's the same bloodline, making fiat for their family line. So I just found it just knocked me over when I was reading through the Venetian surnames, and I saw Halliburton come up. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, but it makes sense. It all ties in together. So absolutely. Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
It also shows you that these people are not elected. They're appointed.
No, they're not.
People are over these different offices with these different Democrats versus Republicans. You guys get a life.
Get a life, because I mean, the two candidates, don't get me wrong, they probably want to win in their eyesight, each one individually, but believe you me, they have an agenda for both of them. So in other words, if this one wins, we're going to carry out the agenda this way. If that one wins, we're going to carry out the agenda this way. And if you all can, go catch that movie. Is it named Cheney? I don't know if it's named Cheney or if it's named Dick. Anyway, go watch that movie if you can, because it's all going to start. It ties into what we're talking about on how behind the scenes they make decisions on who holds that seat of power. And believe you me, it has to be a bloodline, okay? Because Cheney was running stuff, but he could not officially hold that seat of power because he was not tied into that bloodline, okay? But Bush, of course, is tied into that bloodline. So instead of the orders being executed through Bush, Cheney was the one executing the orders because he had more vice. Thank you, sis. Vice. Vice is the name of the movie. Vice. I'm telling you, it's really, really good. You're going to be like, oh, hell no. But yeah, so you'll understand that, Bush had to hold that. It had to be one of the Bushes that held that particular office at that time, but Cheney was put into place to execute the things that they needed, because what they pulled off during that particular administrative time frame, I mean, all of us that's in the know or we research, we enter and understand what the fuck they pulled off. It made a lot of sense. So I highly encourage the family to see that movie Vice. It is worth it for sure. Okay, so we are going to, and again, I do want to send a shout out to one of the main sources for this series, Brother Lee Cummings. I've used two of his sources as the basis. One is called The Negro Question Part 4, The Missing Link. The other one is The Negro Question Part 6, The 13 Black Colonies. Again, you can get these books on YouTube. I'm sorry, not on YouTube, on Amazon. They're extremely affordable. They're an easy read. You can get through one of them in 2 days, maybe the other one 2.5, 3 days. He laid the information out very well. I would highly encourage you to put this information in your collection. Okay, so now we're going to go into the Negro Question Part 6, because he digs deeper, going back into some of these empires. So, we're going to talk about the Basque or the Romans, okay? Because remember, a couple of shows ago, we talked about how King James and them say that they are the true Jews. They are the Romans. Now I remember what I was about to say. So the thing of when we keep hearing people talk about, well, this part of the Bible happened over in this section. That part of the Bible happened over in this section. Here's the thing, and it's going to make sense when I say this. And I have to send a shout out to, I want to say, Medicine Man. He put this in one of his videos. And it was real quick, but I knew exactly where he was going with that. The thing of it is that this particular bloodline, remember, they say and they stick to that their God gave them dominion over everything, and that meant to go out and take over certain lands, okay? So that's why you keep hearing folks say that, you know, that that part of that happened over here. That is because everywhere they went and laid claim to land, they also left their particular ideology, okay? That also meant renaming things associated with their bloodline. So that's why you'll see across this planet, and specifically when you talk in the Americas and you also talk in Europe, you'll see the same names, okay? Because that was part of their thing. As they're going out, quote, quote, fulfilling their prophecy under their God, they're going to lay their stake or lay their claim in the lands, not only through their theology, religion, but also through their names. Okay? But the difference is you still have all across the planet, and specifically in the Americas, where we do still have the true indigenous names here as well. Okay, so that kind of answers that question of folks going back and forth with, well, you know, that part of the Bible happened over here. Well, that part, well, hell, they can really apply to a lot of places, because this same particular kingdom went across the planet conquering, okay, all through their particular ideology, their religion, through their bloodline, and they put their stamp on it. All right, so we're in the new. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
That was Seer who made that comment.
Okay, my bad. Seer. Okay, Brother Seer. Yes. I thought it was Medicine Man.
The Duke of Tears.
Yep, he made it quickly, but I instantly knew where he was going with that. Absolutely. Okay, so this is the Negro question, part 6, the 13 Black colonies. So we're going to talk about, just real quick, we're on page 3, we're going to talk about the Basque or Romans. So in the year of, and this is saying the family of King James, in the year 1449 AD, certain Englishmen came from North Germany and the southern shores of the Baltic Sea and pushed the Britons' ancient name of England westward. By the year 607 AD, the English had pushed the Britons westward as far as Chester. The English carved out Yorkshire, Chester, southern Lancashire, forming the kingdom of Northumbria. I'm probably botching that up. Professor Boyd Dawkins is given the location of the whites in England. Okay, so I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. It could have been melanated people still fighting at that point, but nonetheless, there was some drama and some sort of fighting going on. It says, so the inhabitants of Britain belonged to very different races. Britain was inhabited by the Basque, from ancient times, they called themselves Roman citizens. In their books, and then he put in parentheses, where are their books? They were called the Britons or Welsh. Okay, so that's extremely important for us to enter and understand. That's why I keep saying it's all the same shit. So the Basques are the Romans who are the Brits. Same shit, just reflavor. That's why the architecture is the same. That's why the monetary system is the same. That's why the government is the same, because it's the same people. Okay? And so this is also kind of putting the nail in the coffin on that whole Tartarian motherfucking bullshit they talking about too. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. All right. Let me see. There are two types of Welsh. One is dark and 5 feet 4 inches, and the other is tall and round head. The English pushed the dark Welsh Britain westward into Wales, Cumberland, Westmoreland. Now notice that name, Westmoreland, Highlands of Scotland, Cornwall, and Devon. Professor Boyd Dawkins is giving the location of the blacks in England. Okay. He said, this comment from Professor Boyd Dawkins is a verbal map concerning the location of the two different races of people, black and white, living side by side in ancient Britain. This information was withheld from the world. Okay, so let me see if he talks about that in there. Okay, I'll just go ahead on and read it. The verbal map will lead us into one of the greatest secrets of ancient Britain and will be rehearsed by the likes of Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Dr. Albert Churchward, Professor Winchell, and much more. The location of the black population of Britain, Scotland, Wales, Cornwall, Cumberland, Westmoreland, and Devon is critical to understanding who actually founded the 13 colonies. Okay. All right. And I'm just trying to avoid unnecessarily reading. Okay, we have to examine the European landscape before the arrival of the whites. This is the secret of the Black 13 colonies. All right, so in this book, and that's why it's good to have books like this for yourself, he gives a map and he goes to these names. Okay, we talked about, that's why I keep harping on surnames. And in this particular map, this is the ancient map, Scotland, the 18th century. All right, that Stuart name is all over the place. So I know Glasgow is still there, Edinburgh is still there, and you have Stuart in Edinburgh, and you have Stuart in, I don't know if Menzies is still over there in Campbell, but in that particular area, Stuart is all over the place as well. So I'm assuming these are cities or townships or counties, I don't know what y'all call them, over in Europe. But that Stuart name is all over the place there. Let me see. It says, according to the verbal map of Professor Boyd Dawkins, the blacks were pushed into the highlands of Scotland. If you look at the map, you can clearly see the Stuart clan is named in the highlands and lowlands of Scotland. This is the location of the black Britons that the white English pushed westward, according to Professor Boyd Dawkins. Our fathers pushed the dark Welsh west into Scotland, Wales, Highland of Scotland, Cornwall, and Devon. King James VI of Scotland was a Stuart Highlander. King James, the writings of Professor Dawkins, The Ship Manifest and Memoirs of John Mackey. Will validate that the 13 colonies were founded by the Black Scots. Now, I'm going to read that again. And that's why I'm so tough on people that want to tie the indigenous of the Americas, what they're calling us African Americans, which we are not African Americans. Show me the motherfucking manifest. Because they keep the records. They keep them for a purpose, because to them it is all commerce. Property ownership and commerce. So, I'm going to read that again. The writings of Professor Dawkins, The Ship's Manifest and the Memoirs of John Mackey will validate that the 13 British colonies were founded by the Black Scots. All right, so I'll pause in case y'all want to put something on it and get a sip of water, too.
Yeah. I mean, everybody is all of the King James Version of the Bible. But didn't take the time to get to know anything about this person whose version they've accepted as the God-given truth.
Yep.
I mean, they put out a bunch of stories about him becoming a homosexual, this, that, and other. But all those children.
He had a lot of children.
I think he spent more time in women than he did.
The alleged men. Yeah, because I think he had like 12 or 13 children, something like that.
Yeah, I mean.
And that's what he claiming. Now that's what he claiming. You know what I'm saying? That's who he legitimized. Or he was able to legitimize. Let me restate that. Exactly.
Right, and considering he was Jacob in the Bible.
That's right. That's what he said.
Yeah, so who in the Bible do all of his children apply to? I mean, he had 12 or 13. That sounds like the 12 or 13 tribes to me.
Yep.
But I digress for the moment.
Right. And I think that, you know, with this particular bloodline, because they keep renaming their people the same thing, just like melanated people do today, and, you know, so do Caucasian folks. They don't do it as much as melanated people do. We keep renaming, especially the men, after folks in the family. Now, when I was going back doing my lineage, I saw my family do the same thing. But interestingly enough, I saw it on both sides. And I saw, like, my living relatives carry the names of our ancestors from hundreds of years ago. And I'm like, oh, my God, well, that's why such-and-so's name is such-and-so's name, because that was blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, so I'm saying all that to say, so those names kept carrying forward, but that bloodline's ultimate goal was to keep holding the seats of power across the planet. So they would send their kinfolk out to keep across the world to keep holding these seats of power. Okay, because they had all of Europe on lockdown. Them in Asia, the Mongoloids, they fought each other probably, we know thousands of years. Who knows how long? It probably was older than that. So they kept all of that warring and shit over there with each other, trying to conquer kingdoms. And then the Mongoloid came over here with the fuckery. Then they came over here to do commerce. So that's how the Americas got involved. But it was ultimately still about conquering and setting up their new world order. And what the world is sleeping on, the ones that know a concept of new world order, they're just thinking that's what folk are trying to set up. Well, the shit is already here. And it started way back then when that particular bloodline, so meaning King James them, the Romans and the Venetians them, was battling the Mongoloids. That was all of them trying to set up their own version of the New World Order, okay? But as the King James them started battling within their own bloodline, so battling with their Germany cousins them, they started bringing on their own bloodline and marrying the Caucasians. So that's how the Caucasians start sitting on the throne. So the German bloodline, let's be clear, the German bloodline is considered the New World Order. I'm going to say that again. The German bloodline, what we see today, is the New World Order. The Old World Order was the Stuarts' nim. And that's what everybody is missing. Sorry, go ahead on, sis.
Well, there's one other little wrinkle in this, is that Edward the Fourth was supposed to be the king of England. And the Henry the Sixth and the rest of them dudes they were fighting, and they claimed that Edward was illegitimate, and his wife had cuckolded whoever she was married to, and Edward was born from that union. And that's what started a lot of the fights, is because the one that was supposed to be the king, Edward the Fourth, was he was a kid, he was too young, and they didn't want him in there, and so the Henry the Sixth took over. And that's where I believe you get your line of King James and those guys, because Henry the Eighth and all them folks came off of that. But they had started fighting a long time ago.
I totally agree. They've always fought each other. That's the problem.
Because I know some people in somebody's bloodline who had to fight because he was fighting for Edward the Fourth, and Henry the Sixth was fighting against that side.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, because that's all they did was fight. I mean, it is what it is, and that part ain't hidden. We know that. They keep telling that in their mythologies as they talk about them as being the Greeks, them as being the Romans. So that doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me one bit. But again, the last of that Stuart bloodline was King Anne. And who sits on the throne today, that is the New World Order bloodline of the Germans. So it probably, now I know at one time they had switched where somebody had took over, and they had only took over for a couple of years, then the Stuarts got back on the throne. So absolutely, they kept going back and forth. Okay, so the next couple of pages, and I'm not going to read through this, but just to give you a flavor, if you have any questions on who was sitting on the throne when and how that's related to whom, he kind of lays out starting on page 7. So he talks about Robert Bruce, King of Scots, like from 1200 to 1300 something. Then Alexander II, he talked about from 1198 AD Then he goes on to King Matthew, Stuart I, Earl of Lennox in the 1500s, the grandfather of King James, then King Henry Stuart, and in the 1500s. So he goes extensively into tracing the particular bloodline. But let's be clear, all that I mentioned, and he has pictures as well associated with this lineage, are melanated folks. Okay? All right. So, page 11, he says, ancient DNA makes it possible. Oh, and if you do have the book, on page 10 and on page 11, it shows a picture of King James. That is the exact picture they showed in the movie The Favorite. In the first scene, it was really, really quick. That's the exact same picture they showed, and I was just blown away like, wow. Okay. All right. So, ancient DNA makes it possible to examine populations as they were before and after adaptation. Dark-skinned black people arrived in Europe 40,000 years ago and retained their dark skin, black skin, far longer than originally thought. Rather than lightning, as previously thought, the first people retained their dark skin color. This comment by Dr. Lane Matheson is consistent with my observation of the ancestors of King James. Now, before I move on, just so you all know, see, I'm telling you, none of this shit is a coincidence. They're putting it out, and they're going to put it out, and they're going to tell people, we've been disclosing it to y'all, but y'all just ain't paying attention, so that's damn on y'all. Now, somebody posted, I think it was Sis Cheryl posted on Facebook, where RT News is about to do a documentary on the first black Brits. And they show the Brits with dark skin and blue eyes. And a lot of the Caucasian folks are in an uproar. So I'll kind of keep a lookout for that documentary, and I'll give you all the information as it comes out. But again, this is no coincidence that they are putting this information out.
You know, right. David Wilcox and was it how that
Brother Sean back on?
I forgot. They just came out and said the Bast are the first people that the Anunnaki created.
You got to be. When did he motherfucking say that?
They just had a video on it. David Wilcox and something Morton Howell. I can't remember her first name. I told you that. I said that about a month ago, that they had that video on there that the Basques, who keeps to themselves, up near France and Spain, were the first creation of the Anunnaki, and they have a special language themselves. Linda Morton Howe. They were both talking about it. So they're not coming out with anything new, because it's out there already, because David Wilcox. And I was telling you
I'm not talking about anybody coming out with anything new, but when mainstream media puts something out, it's new to everybody else. It may not be new to us, but it's damn sure new to everybody else, and they're in an uproar about it, and we just sitting back like, we've been trying to tell y'all ass that, but you want to sit up and argue and take offense.
Well, they have it in their constitutions. Yeah, they're doing it in their constitutions in France and England now, trying to show people that they are not the original. Remember that one too? So they're slow.
Well,
they don't want to acknowledge it.
Well, all I can say is, I've already put the melanated people on notice. This for the Caucasian people, you all better start really tracing your heritage and getting your head out the sand and looking at the shit for what it really is. Now, everybody want to run around and talk about peace, love, and freedom, and we're all equal. Then, if that's the case, then what does it matter that the melanated people were first? Why are your panties and the drawers in a ruffle? You really need to re-examine yourself if you have issues with that. So, okay. All righty. So, when you go to page 12, he has more pictures of Queen Anne with her knotty hair. She didn't have no relaxer in her shit. Okay. And that's King James's wife. And then on the next page, he has Charles I, King of Scotland. So he's just showing the different images of the melanated people that sat on these thrones in Europe during those time frames. All right, so let me get back to my notes, make sure I'm not missing nothing. Okay. All right, let me see. Make sure I'm not missing nothing.
They really need to realize that those lineages of melanated people went into the 1900s, and not this garbage. There's not this garbage that keeping slaves with shackles and coming across the country in 1865 or whatever they say the slavery trade started. That's not true.
Or it ended. That's supposedly it ended in 1865, right? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's not true. They were still in power. The last coin I saw was 1820. One of the kings, the dukes or something. They have the crest and everything of these people, and and you just said 1900s.
Yep.
So this 400 years of slave and all this kind of stuff we are now, but you know what I mean. That's not truth.
Right. Absolutely. Very, very good point, sis. So yeah, just on the next couple of pages, family, he's just showing you pictures after. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
That whole 400-year thing, that's taken right from the Bible. Again, that's that whole Bible thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Your children.
That's
your
where they
people
keep getting that from. Because on a lot of these Christian patriot channels, this, that, and the other, everybody keep talking about this 400-year stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just time back off into all of that.
Right, and I just kind of find it comical because to just show you how energy works, if they were trying to cast the spell with the 400 years, not if they were casting a spell with the 400-year time frame, it reversed out because of the shifting of the energy and the consciousness level of the people has raised enough anyway to break those curses. And, maybe they knew that, maybe they didn't. It really doesn't matter at this point, but I just kind of chuckled to myself that that particular time frame that they marked as 400 years of slavery lines up with energy shifts as well. So, pretty interesting stuff. All right, so again, he's going through the lineage. Again, he's getting into King Charles II. Trying to see. Okay, we're going to go to where did they come from. We'll dig a little deeper. Bear with me. Oh, and then he also talks about on page 22, just to show you that particular Stuart bloodline is claiming the Jewish lineage, and I don't even want to say Jewish, my bad, y'all. The Hebrew, let me get it right. The Hebrew lineage on page 22, he talks about their dietary laws. Okay, so meaning they don't eat unclean animals, this, that, and the third. Okay. Oh, damn, they mentioned Hibernia in here. So, Brother Sean, you know that Hibernia stuff they're tying to that whole Tartarian shit, too. So, it says, there is another secret on the black portrait of King James. So damn, now that I look at this particular picture, this younger picture, he looked like somebody I damn know. Ain't that something? Spitting image of this person. Wow, one of his younger pictures. Okay, so it's saying, okay, I'm going to just read the Hebrew stuff. The Highlander. King James had his last name written on his portrait, Jacobus, which after translation means Israel, and he self-styled himself the King of the Hebrews. In the Hebrew history book of Genesis 32, chapter 24 through 28, Jacob wrote as an eyewitness that he wrestled with an angel and that the angel changed his name to Israel. Moses took 11 tablets, parenthesis, diaries, from the elders and wrote the book of Genesis. Each tablet was signed by the author with the phrase, "These are the generations of." Now get ready, y'all. I got to take a motherfucking sip of water. Not that I ain't read this before. This is probably my third time reading it. But folks be thinking I be making stuff up. Here we go. All right, so he said, this is what King James allegedly said, and that angel changed his name to Israel. Moses took 11 tablets, parentheses, diaries, from the elders and wrote the book of Genesis. Each tablet was signed by the author with the phrase, "These are the generations of." In ancient Mesopotamia, the same formula was found to be used by the ancient Mesopotamians. The secret is that the phrase, "These are the generations of Jacob," is the end of the tablet, not the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to stop before I go into the rest. So now, what supposedly and allegedly happened and jumped off in Mesopotamia?
Well, that's over there where Abraham and and Noah and all them folks came out over in there. So the Chaldeans and who else? That's where the birthplace of the so-called Jews started.
Right. So from a mythology standpoint, what supposedly was jumped off in Mesopotamia?
Mythology?
Anunnaki, wasn't it?
Anunnaki land.
Thank you, Brother Sean. Thank you.
Yes,
that's all I'm
right.
saying. And I'm not, saying it against you, sis. But when I kept tying the Anunnaki whole ideology to this Hebrew bloodline, people was looking at me like I'm motherfucking crazy. Oh, okay then. All right, so I'm going to continue.
No, but the Albions or the European, they tie their bloodline to the Anunnaki bloodline. Remember I said that Naughton Bacon said they are those people. But see, you're saying the melanated people are those people. And I know that part, but that's not what they have out there for the world to, the Jewish people that claim themselves Jews right now.
Right.
They don't have that out there.
Right. Well, anybody who thinks that the Anunnaki are not melanated, they're full of shit anyway.
Well, you can see them.
Yeah, it should be well known now within this whole, new age / spiritual / conscious community that the Anunnaki are melanated. So anybody that want to play that game with themselves that they're not, that's on them. I can't help them on that.
Well, they call them the snake people, right? The Anunnaki is the snake people, right? They got the beards, they got the dreadlocks, they got the snake title, and they also have that in the Mayans. That's all in Maya too.
Exactly. So I'm not going to argue with anyone that wants to claim that the Anunnaki are not melanated, and it's not a prideful thing. It's not even worth arguing because I know where you're coming from. Okay, just like I do believe the Palladians are the tall whites, the Anunnaki are the tall melanated folks. So I don't even mess with people with that type of ideology. Okay, but the important point I want to get across that Mesopotamian area is the same in mythology, the same stomping grounds as the Anunnaki. Okay, So it says, this same formula holds true for Adam, and you was right, sis. That's why I'm glad you brought that up too. This same formula holds true for Adam, Noah, and so forth. If I have time, I will write about that further in this book. This means that the Genesis story is actually 11 eyewitnesses accounts written on tablets. The 11 tablets were then merged together by Moses, which means that Genesis is not an oral tradition, which supposedly, was merged together by Moses, which means that Genesis is not an oral tradition, as was supposed by the self-styled seminary scholars. When you hear oral tradition, it is code word for barbarian. And why is that? Every scholar knows that if you don't have an alphabet that is an indicative of an uncivilized people. This is the reason why their scholars love to say that Africans or black didn't write their own history. You even have uninformed blacks making this statement. This is how Moses wrote the book of Genesis. He took the tablets of the elders and wrote them in the book. Okay, so let's start with this whole language thing in the beginning. The language, first of all, what they're documenting as the first form of language, which that's not even true, because the first form of language was something totally different. But that they're saying that is cuneiform, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, who brought cuneiform according to the mythology? Who brought cuneiform? The Anunnaki. The Anunnaki brought cuneiform. What is Hebrew? Well, let's back up. It's cuneiform, so supposedly the Anunnaki brought cuneiform, okay? And I'm going to put together a show. We're going to get a little bit more into language, but there is an older language on Mother Earth besides cuneiform, but we'll start with cuneiform for now. So the Anunnaki brought cuneiform. From cuneiform came the Kemet written language.
I thought Sanskrit was before the hieroglyphs.
Okay, Sanskrit. Okay, we'll do Sanskrit. Cuneiform, Sanskrit, hieroglyph, Hebrew.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I just want us to be clear when folks sitting up here talking about some such and so head defer, get the fuck out of here with all of that. Okay, let's be honest. Okay, and when we get into that language, you're going to see how all of those particular forms of language has vibrational tones to them through the angles. Mm-hmm.
Now they're saying that the Tartarian language is the oldest language and oldest.
Oh, they can get the fuck out of here with that. They can get the fuck on with that. Please get the fuck on with that.
That same dude got a video saying that.
Yeah, it's not possible when cuneiform has been established, because you can. Oh God, these people be pissing me the fuck off. All you have to do, matter of fact, glad you brought that up. That's why that came up. Okay, so during this film festival, they had Black Panther in there. Now, I done already saw it twice already, whatever. So I'm sitting through it again. Guess what language that shows up in Black Panther? I see Sanskrit in there. I see a little bit of cuneiform in there. I see hieroglyphics in there. I'm like, oh, shit. They put it right in our face. Okay, still looking at the movie, y'all, with different eyes. I said, I be goddamn. This movie is describing the Atlantean Empire. That's what Wakanda was representing. Because if you go back and watch the movie, y'all, in the motherfucking center of Wakanda, they have the Tesla towers standing there front and center. My mouth dropped. The towers that they are calling that Tesla discovered, which we know he didn't. He got that technology that was written down somewhere, and he just retrofitted it. But those same towers, they put it in the middle of Black Panther, the same technology that Brother Sean and I have been talking to you about, that's using plasma energy. And I do have to give the Tartarian folks credit for pointing that out, with the different buildings serving as energy centers, catching the plasma vibration out of the air and conducting it into energy. They are showing you all of that in Black Panther. They're showing you using the magnets or the magnetic field energy to power their civilization. And they're saying that this vibranium. Now, didn't they claim that vibranium happened because a meteor crashed there, motherfucking millions or something years ago or whatever? But isn't the meteor like made up of like radiation and magnets or magnetism? So it's basically showing you the technology of the Atlantis society that was carried forth through certain generations until these big wars kept happening and the technology was destroyed, either destroyed, which I think was a combination of both. It was destroyed, and then the other part of the matter was it was hidden and controlled. So folks that are holding a seat of power can continue to hold it, okay? But I do want us to keep mindful of, so I did want to put that out there about that whole Black Panther Wakanda. Go back and take a fresh look at it, and you'll see hieroglyphic language. And if you know some of the cuneiform and Sanskrit symbols, you'll see it in Black Panther. But the point I'm trying to make is, even with that Atlantis civilization, there was still a takeover before that. And that's what they were showing you in the movie Avatar, because the planet operated in a more organic fashion through the trees and the natural crystals in the ground. So whatever war took place when those trees were cut down, the ancient trees, okay, that's when the next set came in with all of this technology, meaning the Tesla towers and all of that, okay? And that's when they started, got worse and worse and started digging up stuff out of Mama Earth to either hoard and create an economic system or to use it in energy. So just to give you some chronological order of these civilizations and particularly how technology and weaponry is used. And they keep putting before you over and over and over again the plasma technology. They keep showing it to you in the superhero movies, with people with these metal objects shooting these lasers, or the beings shooting them out of their hand, which you as original beings to Mother Earth, you have those abilities to mimic all of their, no, they're mimicking you. Let me correct that.
Right.
So all of these weapons that they're creating with the plasma, okay, that they're, pulling from the sky, that's stuff that you naturally, as a conductor of energy, have the ability to do yourself. Okay, so that is one of the reasons why the Great War happened, with coming in, tearing down those ancient trees to help to squash your natural abilities to just tap in to Mother Earth, just ground your feet on the ground and just kick ass. Okay, so I know that's getting off topic a little bit, but I want you all to understand how we have not evolved, we have fallen. Okay, right. So what we are doing now, as the energy is shifting and what they're calling a new age, as the vibration is raising higher, you are remembering these things. So what would be a better way than to keep you stuck in a loop of a king system, of some type of monetary system, of some type of government with trinkets and monetary things, because they don't want you to get back to that powerful state of truly being connected to the earth and generating and creating things organically. Okay? That's what they're trying to stop. Now, it's not going to work because the plasma, Mother Earth, is fed up motherfucking totally. So that's why the plasma is shooting across the sky. That's why she has multiple suns that are appearing and reappearing. But all of that, all of those suns, all of that is still part of the same energy. And we're going to get into that in a couple of weeks when we do a show on that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll pause before I continue.
Well, I wanted to say that the movie Prometheus
yes.
They're telling some secrets in Prometheus because they came and with the alphabets of the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
And he drank.
Yeah.
So
that's their language.
What they're telling is that they were created by them as whomever they are now in this day and age to be slaves and servants. Right. Remember how he fell apart and his DNA was, his DNA was recombinant in
water.
Yeah, and so, see, that is that golden horde. And when I'm going to say it straight out, when you look at the bushes and those people, they have a Mongolian look to them.
See.
So, like especially Barbara, she has the slanted eyes and stuff a little bit.
She does.
And Bush themselves, and most of them. So what they say in the Bible was that when Japheth, which would be King James line, went into Europe, they were and ruled there. They were attacked by this Prometheus character people, and they would be the Mongolians. This is what I'm understanding about what's happening, and so they took over the rulership because they took over the kingdom. Period. I don't believe they intermarried and became or Charles gave them all that authority and to change their names. I just don't believe it. I believe that they took it by force, and that's how they hold it.
But they were already in the bloodline.
That's what it says.
So if that's
I hear
the case,
that.
Whoa now. Whoa.
I'm listening.
King Charles authorized that name change, they were already in their bloodline. So that means somebody in that Germany side, if what you're saying is, quote, quote, they took over, that means somebody in that particular Jacob bloodline was dipping and dabbing with the Mongolian bloodline. Okay, but it's still the same bloodline. It may be mixed, but it's still the same bloodline. And it still does not negate the fact who the fuck gave James and them authority to go and conquer other people's land.
Well, they said that, Isaiah said that
I don't care what
Yahweh.
Isaiah said.
Yeah,
I don't care what he said.
What he said?
Yahweh is an Anunnaki. They are not indigenous to this land.
I said, Isaiah said that he don't know that person, and he was a fake. That's what Isaiah was saying in his scripture about that God that they were serving. He was a fake. That's what Isaiah said.
But that still does not negate the fact that this bloodline that called themselves the Hebrew.
I know he said it was a fake.
It does not matter that it's a fake. That bloodline, I'm going to say it again, that bloodline went across planet taking people's shit.
Well, that's true. They did in the name of that fake God. Remember, the Anunnaki are the fake gods. They set themselves up as gods. And they were Yahweh.
Even if that's the case, Yahweh, Baweh, boom, ba, it does not matter. I'm talking about who did what when.
Yeah, they did do it, but I'm telling you, they're not doing it. So we
gotta keep it real.
They're not doing it in the name of the earth. What I'm saying, they're doing it in the name of the fakes. That's what I'm saying.
And that all may be true, but they will be held accountable.
Yeah.
I don't care who they say their God is. They have no authority.
Nope, they don't.
Take over someone's land. And then they wonder why everywhere they go was a motherfucking drama. Because it was against natural order.
It's against natural order. That's what I was trying to say. I was trying to get there, you see.
I know you was, and I'm playing the advocate.
Devil advocate.
Yeah, and I'm doing that on purpose because melanated people want to keep being married to the Bible, and they don't want to look at the side of this Bible that you're clinging to with this God in it is telling this group of people that they have the right to go around the planet and take shit.
No, they
don't. You want to pretty it up, but that's exactly what they did. That's why they kept warring.
And the legitimate ones want to take it back, and they keep having to fight them all the time.
There is no legitimate. Now, they may be legitimate within their own bloodline, but they're not legitimate any other place.
Well, it's like Trump said, we took it by force, and we're going to keep it. No, he didn't say force. He said the way we took it is the way we're going to keep it. So he's really telling how it happened.
Yeah, he's telling how it happened. And that's how they all think, because that's that same mentality. That's the exact same mentality. So now what I want everybody with that mentality to do, you stand ran your motherfucking ass outside, you tell it to the plasma. I want you to tell it to the motherfucking plasma on what you goddamn took by force and what you ruling. Don't tell it to me. Tell it to the plasma. Right. So, but on another note, I'm glad you brought up Prometheus, sis. There is a commercial out with Hennessy, the liquor y'all, and Hennessy put out some damn good commercials that they don't play on the air, and I know why they don't play it on the air, because they're deep and they tell the truth. This particular commercial, I've only seen it ran online, and it's talking about like the 7 wonders of the world. I can't make this shit up, y'all. They have up in this commercial, and Brother Sean, you'll appreciate this, where folks are walking into this cave, a beautiful cave, and with these bowls. And so they start scraping in the cave, and falling out of the caves is this gold-like substance. Okay, so you know where I'm going with that, Brother Sean, with the gold-like substance. And so they pretending like the gold-like substance was Hennessy. So they cut from the caves, y'all. Next thing you know, you see giants walking in the water, and you see regular people walking with them. And you see these different planets like close up. They show you 3 suns in the sky. And I'm sitting here like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Then they flip to the next scene where they show like a Prometheus character. And so this whole entire commercial, they're going through the 7 wonders of the world, but they're showing you these mythologies and mixing in with history and the things that are to come with the plasma and all of that. So I would highly encourage you, they're not going to show this commercial on regular TV. Go on to the internet and look for the Hennessy commercial. I think it's called 7 Wonders of the World, and I could be off a little bit on the exact title, but it's got that 7 in it. So try 7 Wonders of the World. And the commercial hit the nerve to be long, y'all. It was about probably 5 minutes, and it was beautifully done. In Hennessy's defense, it's breathtaking to watch. So I highly encourage you to look at that. So in other words, they're putting the shit in plain sight once again. But if you don't know what you're looking at, and if you're not getting in tune, and if you're getting stuck with an ideology that you were taught, and, you know, that can't be bent, then it is what it is. You're going to miss it. All right. Okay, I know we got off kilter here. All right, so, we talked about the barbarians. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean. Mm-hmm.
But that makes me think about Jack and the Beanstalk.
Mm-hmm.
The poor boy, it's a magic bean.
Mm-hmm.
And this beanstalk goes all the way up to the heavens or to another dimension.
Yep.
A giant tree.
Yep.
And
giant tree.
Behold, he makes it up there. And still a golden goose. A goose to lay golden eggs. The
golden eggs. Yep.
Giant get after him. He cut down the tree. And the giant falls to his death. The fall.
Yep.
This goes to show you they've been little parasites all along.
Yep. It was an invasion that happened on the planet with another species. And I believe it's more than the Anunnaki, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they're just wasn't bothering nobody.
Right, true.
He at home chilling, and here somebody come in his house and steal something. You can't install from him.
That's true, because he was minding his motherfucking business. up in his palace and shit eating. In his defense. True.
And hold it, but like you said, palace. And all this mud flood stuff and Tartarian stuff, they talked about all these palaces and the giant archways and this, that, and the other. So, I mean, if anything, the Tartarians stole shit from the giants after they was gone. They talked about how all these towns and stuff was empty, you know. Even though we know that we ain't never left, we ain't never went nowhere because we still here.
Right. Right.
You know, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that mud flood stuff and the way they talk about it with Tartaria, maybe that has to do with these timelines and dimensions collapsing onto one another. I mean,
it could be. It could be because that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm just looking at it this way also, because everything that they have tried has backfired on them.
Yeah.
Now, they want to talk about one world order and keep talking all that stuff about everybody being one. Now, even if we're talking about aliens or whatever, which were melanated aliens, even if they done some DNA manipulation, gene splicing, this, that, or the other, to create y'all, then a part of y'all is from us. So
right.
Basically, if you're talking about going back to oneness again, then the very essence of what you all are will be consumed, and the trash will be shitted out. And guess what? Guess who will be here? You're talking about this oneness. If we return to the oneness, ain't we returning to the primordial black waters?
Yes.
We're going back to the beginning. So therefore, y'all didn't exist. Y'all don't exist. You're done for. So pushing for this oneness is actually going to be their downfall in the way, because we are everything. And like their God told them, he created good and evil. So, I mean, I don't know, just something to think about.
No, I agree with you. You know, my thing has been when folks get on the whole color thing, is that my thing for the Caucasian folks, you got to research who you are. You've got to research the true history. You've got to. Stop playing these games with yourself and getting angry. I cannot tell you how many videos I watch, and anytime it's brought up about, you know, melanated people going back so far, you see in the comment section Caucasians getting upset at the truth and the evidence. And then if you see the videos, the opposing videos putting out saying, oh no, white people ruled then, blah, 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 then you see the same comments, yeah, because those, what do they call us? Black supremacists. Those black supremacists running around saying they're the Indians, they're the Hebrews, they're the... and I'm like, okay.
Too.
Huh?
Porch monkeys, they use every derogative that they could possibly come up with. They are truly ignorant when it comes to that. I even saw in the comment where the lady was saying something about that this is just a land of immigrants, and she was trying to explain it to her son, saying that we very rarely see any real Americans anymore, so we call ourselves Americans. Immigrants are now the new American. I respond, I'm like, what do you mean you don't see any real Americans? Every motherfucking place your dumb ass look, and you looking at a dark-skinned person or a melanated person, you're looking at an original American.
Yeah, but they don't want to know that, though. They don't know that. Most of them.
I mean, they keeping up with this, even though they know it. And then that's another thing. If people think that this government and everything is about transparency and this, that, and the other, and turning over a new leaf, why do they keep labeling you as wrong shit? Why they ain't told you who the fuck you are? Still getting you to sign shit, calling you African American, calling you black, this, that, or the other. And they're not even going to tell the truth about who you are.
Nope.
And you
and
honestly believe that
they're
trying to turn... Right. It is an insult. You honestly believe that they're trying to turn over a new leaf.
Yep. I totally 1,000% agree with you. And all I can say to the Caucasians, you know, just like I put my people, the melanated people, on notice, I didn't put y'all on notice. Get your head out the sand. It's not going to be a pretty picture. Because at the end of the day, this is still about energy. Let's be clear. It's still about energy. And if you have the ideology of supremacy rule even in your subconsciousness, that's not going to bode well. Okay? Now, if we get on the biology side, it's looking real shaky because the UV radiation is rising up. See, this is what your government and all them people putting out them Tartarian videos and stuff, they're not fucking talking about the truth about this UV radiation getting very high. The multiple suns. You got UV radiation coming from up out of the ground as well as above your head. So you better get it in order and get yourself centered. So that's not only for the melanated people, that's for you too. You have ownership. And you have a bigger ownership because you have benefited greatly under the switchover. So you can keep burying your head in the sand, taking on these other people's identities. I'm telling you, it's not a good thing. You need to be concentrating on who you are and breaking your own fucking generational curses instead of taking on somebody else's shit. And it's no excuse for anyone to not know where their bloodline comes from as much technology as we have now. You can trace exactly where your people came from. So, like I keep saying, everybody is being put on notice. Everybody. So it is what it is. I done warned everybody across the board. But what I'm seeing from Caucasians as a collective, I'm not seeing you being honest with your people. I'm seeing you sugarcoated. I'm seeing you putting out new motherfucking things that's not even truthful. You piecing together those things. But you think you're going to rise to some higher dimension. How the fuck you gonna rise to a higher dimension through a lie? What am I missing in that picture? You're not. Same with melanated people. You're not gonna rise to no higher dimension through lies by not taking accountability to the fucked up shit that was done. So everybody can keep on bullshitting to yourself, keep on burying your head in the sand, so when the plasma hits you in the ass, maybe then you'll understand why. All right. So let me see here. Okay, so we said that Moses wrote the book of Genesis, that the elders gave to him. So he was just again pointing out that King James, on one of his portraits, styles himself as the King of Hebrews, Hibernia. Okay, so that's to all you Tartarian pushing folk. You You throw that Hibernia all around. Okay. So he says, I say to the so-called scholars respectfully, and he's so sweet because he said it respectfully. I don't, because I don't like liars and people that's twisting the truth purposely to mislead people. I don't like it. I don't give a damn who you are. I get melanated folks shit too. I don't like it. So how can you dismiss the verbiage words on the picture of King James VI of Scotland? If I had published this book 1 month ago, I would have missed this valuable gem. What he is saying has make waste. Okay. So that's on that. So we're going to get a little bit into see, what are we saying? Sorry, y'all, it's just so much. I'm trying to get it all in. All right. So if you're going to keep on the ancestry, he keeps going on from pages 24, 25. He goes back and traces this bloodline back to Athens, Greece, all of that jazz. I'm not going to read that, but he goes very well in tying this bloodline in Greece, and he does it also with some of the same surnames tying back to those lands as well. Okay, so now all of you Tartarians with this motherfucking bullshit, okay, on 27, he talks about the Iberian race. Okay, so I'm not going to go through this, and this is how I caught you Tartarian pushers in your fucking lies, and I confronted you, and only one person, and damn, I apologize for not having his name, Caucasian brother, was the only one that gave acknowledgement to the melanated folks sitting on the throne. Okay? Because how I caught the Tartarians folks in their lies is just by purely looking at the coat of arms. You fuckers are pushing coat of arms from the black melanated royals. It's literally their fucking coat of arms. And you're pushing it as Tartarian.
As their own.
Yeah.
And they bleaching out the faces. That's funny.
I mean, you're busted plain as day. The exact same Tartarian coat of arms you're using are the coat of arms from the Black Nobility empires. And that Russian Empire was black. So cut the shit. Okay, so, and now I done went off so tough, Brother Sean, I may not have to do a show on that because they done fucking pissed me off and disgusted me. All right, so even on page 28, he goes into Troy. Let me see where he goes into Troy. All right, so it says Geoffrey of Monmouth. Monmouth means monomouth. Account tells much the same story, but in greater detail. Brutus is explicitly the grandson, rather the son of Ascanius. His father is Ascanius' son Silvius, the magician who predicts great things for the unborn Brutus. Also predicts that he will kill both his parents. He does so in the same manner described in the Historia Britannia and is banished. Traveling to Greece, he discovers a group of Trojans enslaved there. He became their leader, and after a series of battles, they defeated the Greek king Drasus, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but whatever, by attacking his camp at night, Brutus takes the Greek king hostage and forces him to let his people go. He is giving Pandrastia's daughter in marriage, and so I'm not going to read the rest. So basically, he is tying together the story of Troy with that particular bloodline. So you can explore that on page 28. Okay, so let me go to the seals, and I'm going to pause Sis or Brother Sean in case you want to put something on that before we go to the seals.
You know, when you just said that stuff, maybe that's why they kind of mixed, because it was like they gave their daughters as they used to give their daughters as a sign of good faith, so they wouldn't fight anymore. And a lot of those wars.
Yeah, because you know, as you read different texts and stuff, you saw to stop wars and stuff. That's exactly what they did. They brought the other kingdoms into their kingdom.
Yeah, and that, you know, they did that in the Mayan kingdom, and they may have done it in England to get the Windsors in there too, gave one of the daughters up, because the daughters were basically born for chess pieces. That's all they were born for back in that day. They weren't born for rulership. They were born to prostitute out, basically, for peace.
Right, which is against natural order right there out the gate. That's against natural order, because man is not supposed to hold any title of land on Mother Earth. I'm going to say that again. Man is not supposed to hold any title on Mother Earth. The wealth is with the woman, and it will always be with the woman because you are on a feminine entity.
Mm-hmm.
So out the gate, their whole ideology, that's why when they went, these particular kingdoms, when they were conquering the indigenous people, who most of the indigenous people had matriarch systems. That's why they were marrying into those bloodlines for the purpose of getting their seed stake in the land.
Right.
So that's why even with melanated folks, women, we were never supposed to drop our maiden name. And it had nothing to do with, although because this is a patriarch society, men felt, oh, you not honoring me. Go somewhere with that motherfucking bullshit. That's not what it's about. We were supposed to keep our maiden names and attach your last name onto our maiden name is for the purpose of the bloodline and ownership. Now think about that. Those that are tracing back their family lineage, how easy would it have been for if we would have stuck to that rule?
Right.
You would be able to really find your folk easily. But that's the purpose of women wanting to keep their particular maiden name, because the land in the indigenous people is transferred through the matriarch bloodline. So that means, let's be clear, men. This is including all men on this on Mother Earth. I'm gonna make this real fucking clear to you. That means it would have to be no woman in that bloodline for a man to take title and ownership of land. And we know that has not been happening. But again, that's part of that whole patriarch system. Conquer the land, put your name and your stamp on the land. And the patriarch name was stamped on it. But I do have to hand it to the stewards, because in their defense, that was at least still King James' mama name. That's his mama maiden name. Okay.
Makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Another thing they need to think about when researching their ancestry, before they started switching things over that in the patriarchal perspective, men actually used to take the last name of their wives.
Yep.
It wasn't the other way around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Because it was land. They are not supposed to hold title to the land. That's why I find it laughable.
Right.
When, these melanated men running around talking about they hold title to. You don't hold title to shit concerning no land. Now, your daughter may hold the title to it through your mother.
Because if you think about it, even with their so-called royalty or whatever over there, the house of this, the house of that. House ain't never been referred to as the name, eh?
Hello. Talk about it, testify. Exactly. Who runs the household traditionally with melanated people?
Exactly.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to speak to the younger melanated men. I don't know if you know this. And to you old heads that want to sit up there and motherfucking perpetrate, you know goddamn well that Big Mama will split your fucking head in two. You come up in hot shit talking about you running something. So y'all need to stop with the bullshit. That's why you are lost. That's why you can't accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, because you don't give the honor and respect to mother. You're not honoring and respecting your wives. You're not honoring and respecting your daughters. You're not honoring and respecting your mother, your grandmothers, your ancestors, and Mother Earth. And until you get the shit right, you're going to remain on bottom.
Right. It's true.
Well, back in the day, the man brought the money home and gave it to the wife, and she took care of all the bills and everything. She managed the money and everything. We was lucky if we got beer money.
You lucky, exactly. And if you drink too much, you ain't getting no motherfucking beer money. Go on with that bullshit. Because then I got to bail your ass out of jail because you done got drunk. Got locked the fuck up.
Oh,
where they think all these conversations come from with the men back in the day about the ball and chain and, you was able to get out the house now and this, that, the other thing. We knew who was running things. We talk stuff out in the street, this, that, and the other. She don't run that, this, that, and the other, but looking at your watch the whole time. I got to go.
Watch the whole time. The whole time.
Go,
exactly.
Where you going?
Exactly.
You know where I'm going, nigga. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
And listen, when they got drink, the wife always kept the keys. They never went out there drinking and driving because the wife would let them drive.
Yeah, that's where standing in the motherfucking alley came from. Don't act like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Standing in the alley getting drunk. Because you don't need to be fucking driving.
Oh, look, street corners. They couldn't go to work.
No, don't play with us. Don't play with us. Melanated men, don't play with us. Don't play with, especially the ones that have remembered and we lived through the teachings of Big Mom and them. Don't motherfucking play with us. We not to be played with. We know how this was supposed to go down. And we're not falling for any of that motherfucking bullshit of, what they call it, these dusty ass men that want to polygamy, and we're not falling for nothing. Go on with that fuck shit. You know how it was ran. And you're going to be held accountable if you're teaching these younger ones anything different. And it's showing because they're lost, they're getting locked up, and it's not right. Get back in balance. You'll never be on the top dishonoring your mother. And it starts in your home. So, all right. So, where was I going with that? Where are we? Okay, so on page 38, y'all, again, he goes into the Scottish seals, and he shows where the University of Chicago has an image. This stone, still written in Paleo-Hebrew, was found in ancient Troy or modern Turkey. These blacks who founded Troy and wrote in the ancient Hebrew migrated to Britain. The ancient name of Troy was Phrygia. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. Phrygia. And they came down to Jerusalem on the day of the Pentecost. So he's given Acts chapter 2, verse 10 to that, to keep the day of feast with the rest of their Jewish brothers. Okay, so he just goes on and on, tracing back these particular lineage. On page 38, he talks about Robert the Bruce of Highland, Highlander. He talks about King Midas on 40. So that's you all can just, So you all can just dig a little deeper. Now, okay, so he goes on 42, the Iberians. Okay, now this is going back to that whole, what do you call it, damn people? Tartarian shit. The Iberians in the ancient times inhabited the western and southern parts of Europe, the northern part of Africa. In fact, all parts reach from the Mediterranean Sea. The Basque in Spain and France, the little dark Welshmen, the Scots, and the black Celts to the west of the Shannon River in Ireland, as well as the same kind of men in Britannia and Aquitaine in France. The Ganache of the Canary Islands and the Berbers in Africa are all probably the same, are probably the remnants of the race. Okay, so he's just once again tying all of those regions where this bloodline went and spread it out. Okay, so I'll pause in case y'all want to.
You know, the Berbers are pirates.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one that the United States had trouble with, because every time they would go through that Strait of Gibraltar, I guess it was, the pirates from the Berber pirates would capture their ships, and that's how they got a lot of the European women as their slaves, and all that stuff took off over in
Right. Right,
and
aren't
I was
going to say that's the Moors. Right, that's the
Moors. They say that's what a treaty, a peace and friendship came from, because they kept robbing their ships and instead of so they copped to a deal.
Yeah, they copped to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's but the Berbers are synonymous with Moors. Absolutely.
But they also say.
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
On the Tartaria series, they also say that the Tartarians are the progenitors of the Caucasians in Europe.
Okay.
I just said that's what they said. So I guess, Genghis Khan and his family made all of them because they said every single Asian on the planet is a descendant of Genghis Khan.
He had 2000. That 2002.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm just saying, though, why all these people running around hollering Asiatic black man, this, that, and the other, you were the Genghis Khan children. So, I mean, just with that admission alone, you don't belong here.
Right, because we do know that Asian empire, and we got to go back and talk about them too, the black Japanese.
Chinese.
We do know that was melanated also, right? But it is saying that they had white-skinned people, and they would have to because that's where Caucasian, that's where the word came from, or am I just making this shit up? Isn't the word Caucasian derived from Caucasus Mountains in Asia, or am I making that shit up?
No, it's true.
Okay.
Even though the original Caucasians were melanated.
Melanated, absolutely. They really were melanated.
But they had already been saying a long time ago that the pale Asians are their offspring, that they got the same DNA or whatever. They've been saying that for the longest.
Right, which is why when you look at that picture, the race of men, you'll see the Caucasian as depicted as a melanated man, but they have different features from the Negroid, the African, and what they're calling Native American.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, the most of these people have melanated people, the original melanated people, including China.
Would have to.
They have them hid in the back. India has some, Japan has them, China, and what they put on. Dr. Valentine talked about this. What they put on TV is their color, the European pale skins, but the original, even in India, the Buddha was melanated.
Right.
And
with nappy hair.
And China, also in the Vietnamese people, and one of those people were called Sambo. That's where they get that black Sambo from. Because one of their leaders was called Sambo.
Absolutely. Cannot dispute that at all. And again, what did Benjamin Franklin say? He said all of Asia, France, Africa, America, exactly. All of that. Italy, Germany, all of that was, what did he say? Black. Spain.
Yeah, they were.
He said black.
Yeah, he did say it.
The only exception he threw in was when he said Americas, he said in parentheses, except us.
The few that was here.
So if that's the case, when we talking about them who allegedly kicked the Moors out of Spain,
right?
Those who kicked the Moors out, they had to be melanated too then, because of during Franklin's time.
They had to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Franklin was 17 something, and that happened with the Moors. The Moors got kicked out of Spain when
7-11.
Okay, so that was way long ago. So again, there go another lie on the melanated side that the white people kicked the Moors out, and that's how it became white. I think not.
I don't believe that.
Because according to Franklin, he said in the 1700s that Spain
was
still black.
Was it 1492? No, I forget. Shoot, never mind. I'm trying to remember the date. Because they ruled for 700 years.
Yeah, that was like 1491 that they supposed to got put up out of there, and then Christopher Columbus was on his way the next year over here.
Yeah, it's 14
right.
something, yeah.
Right. But the point
But
is,
either
they
way,
got put the fuck out by melanated people.
Right.
It wasn't white people. Spain was all melanated then, being alleged people that they allegedly taught and educated in this, that, and the other.
Right, allegedly.
The indigenous melanated people.
Exactly.
And they got back together and ran them the fuck up out of there.
Exactly. Absolutely. So let me bring on Brother
Even if that
832.
is the case.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
With that being the case, that means that they dirty asses then sent Benjamin Franklin over. Sent that goddamn Christopher Columbus ass over here. So that was blacks that sent him over here. But I've heard it say that he was a Moor too. I've heard it say that he was a Moor too. So
that's what I heard.
Absolutely, it would have had to been quote blacks because they held the seat of power. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, they were seamen too. They were the seamen. They taught Benjamin Bonner taught. Yeah, melanated people. I don't know if they Moor. Everybody's a Moor as far as Moors are concerned. But Benjamin Bonner taught them how to, read compasses.
To navigate. Right.
And navigate. Because the Europeans didn't have ships and stuff like that.
But they said the Tartarians did. They came out with another term for them to try and state that they were the first seafaring people.
Tartarians?
I can't remember what the term is for
now,
them.
Now I may give it to the Mongoloids, maybe. You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with that, Brother Sean? I'm going to give it to the melanated Mongoloids. I give them, but that whole Tartarian shit was not across the planet like they were saying. That was just one motherfucking area that called Tatar out of Russia.
Well, if we think the Earth is flat like it is, and they say it is, then they came from over another part of the flat Earth over into our area. That's if we could look at that coming over that 300.
Could be, sis.
That's how they got here.
Could be. And who's to say that the Anunnaki didn't come from that? You know what I'm saying? Come from those other districts.
Yeah, there's a melanated folks from other districts.
Yes, and other species too that just take on a skin tone. So meaning you could have another race, whether or not you want to say they reptilian, Palladians, or whatever, that's wearing a melanated skin suit or a Caucasian skin suit.
Cloaking. And that's where Isaiah comes in again. He said you're going to lose it. But everybody going to see who you are. Isaiah said it. They were cloaked.
Well, that's, people better get their hearts together and go within, because everyone has been lied to. But it is everyone's responsibility to find the truth for yourself, to clean up yourself and your bloodline. It is each individual's responsibility, and nobody is going to be exempt, and no excuses are going to be accepted, especially for those that are diving into this information. If you still want to keep holding on to ideology, and that's whomever you are, and not truly living into truth, that's your business. So be it. But you've been warned. So, okay, let me go to Brother 832, because we got, just so y'all could keep me on track here, I want to go into the founders of the 13 colonies, and then we're going to go into, because y'all, we got to get into the stewards, And we going to get up in these motherfucking ship manifests. We going to talk about Harriet Tubman. And then hopefully if we have time, I'll play the video regarding the melanated Asians. I have about a 9-minute clip that I want to play on that. Okay, so let me get to, 832. 832, your line is open.
Brother!
Hey, brother.
My sisters from other misters!
That is our brother.
That's right, brother. Indeed.
My brother from another mother on Mount Olympus. Black lightning. Throw them both down tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, I had wanted to continue our conversation from last week, but in a sense, I wanted to engage you guys with some thoughts. I have some random thoughts. However, the last thing that you just said, I'll segue from that, about steward. How about stewardship? Stewardship. Just a thought. You know, I mean, I don't know if that's going to evolve out of the etymology of the name steward. The matriarchal versus patriarchal, I'll circle back to that eventually on what we're discussing, but I also wanted to throw out a thought. Cypher was the name of the character in the Matrix that wanted to go back in because the steak tastes so good. Flesh. Animal flesh. And he knew it wasn't real.
He knew
but
it wasn't
cipher,
real.
what is the image of a cipher? There's something written down.
That's what I was going to say, a symbol.
Well, it has to be written, right? Transcribed, documented. That's kind of the point that I was to raise here about with all these things that are being perpetrated and perpetuated on us as you were asking a question in some of your continuing discussion earlier this morning, and I'm going to keep reminding us of one word, autochthonous, that in etymology has no origin. And what I mean by no origin, it has no precursor, has no other word that's used to describe it. For example, if you say original, if you say indigenous, you say native, they all have other words to describe the origin and the context of that word. But all those words come out of autochthonous. So when you hear and are perpetuated as being self-imposed with this immigrant narrative of pluribus unum, out of many, one. What were you saying about that, Sean, earlier? You were talking about the primordial ooze or the dark matter? Or,
Return it back to the oneness.
Yeah. And so what is that? You know what's ironic? Even that Prometheus reference that you made, Sandra, those were, if you would say, albino giants in the movie. But the blood was black.
Yep.
Do you remember the essence that came out of him when he, decayed and evolved and went to the what? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm rambling and saying all that because I also want to throw in a thought for you about vampirism. All the vampire movies, I'm talking about even back to Bela Lugosi, probably the original one. What is it something about not just the blood sucking? They'll tell you about certain things about blood type. They'll tell you about things like bad blood, or dirty blood. They'll even, if you remember in the Blade series, when he found out that Caucasoid vampire was his father, from the Black Mother, right before he jacked him up, and when he licked his head, or basically in a sense, he was kind of licking his blood through Blade from himself. Now, I don't know if you've ever paid attention to Underworld. Have you noticed in the series, Underworld series, what happens when they consume the blood? Do they have a flash of images and information? The context of that particular vampire, some of that hundreds of years. Okay, I'm somewhat rambling here, but the reason I'm pointing these things out, I'm saying that which is more legitimate when one gives us the false impression that if it's not written down, if it's not, I forgot what reference you were making in your earlier presentation about whose book. I don't know who you were talking to at that time. If you were talking about Tartarians, if you were talking about someone else, it basically was just like, where's their book? They use the argument, where's their book?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know what he's talking about. When he was talking about when they were saying that they weren't civilized, that they didn't have anything written down.
Right, that we don't write stuff down. Right, that's what the author was saying. Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, are you familiar with a brother? I think I've brought this up to you before. I don't know if, Sean, if you've come across him. I call these young brothers feathers. They're in the Aboriginal community. You talk frequently about Medicine Man. There's Aboriginal Power. There's a Tonkinist one. Dane is kind of like their front runner. But there's a brother named Corey Mayo. Are you hip to him? Kurimeo.
Oh, Korea Mayo. Yeah, he down with King Drop Nation.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
He's not
now,
with King Drop.
He did a corn series, other than the one that Medicine Man you talked about last week.
I saw that
Children
one.
of the Corn. But he did a historical context of corn over some series.
Yeah,
but can you just spell his name for me again, brother? I'm sorry.
Corey Mayo. Kurimeo.
Yeah, I'm glad you told
me. The way he pronounces it sounds like he's saying something else, but it's spelled Corey Mayo. Kurimeo. And he's one of these, I think he's from either Dominican, is it Sean? Dominican or Central America?
Yeah, he's from down there somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he was on Medicine Man show one time, but anyhow, okay.
Yeah, they all split.
Yeah, he does like part series and stuff, so his videos, they kind of continue on part 1, 2, 3, 4. The one I was just watching right before getting on with you was part 6, talking about the Hebrew, the ancient Americans or the Hebrews, or how they're culturally operate in the same way as into the antiquity of the Bible. Now, I understand what you're saying about kind of displacing ourselves from the Bible, but it is a very overarching thing, not just with the Catholic Church, not just with the Hebrew Israelite thing, but these 13 colonies. Inside that particular video, you know who Glenn Beck is. I'm sure you're aware of him. He's one of these focused, conservative, white Caucasians. But he was going on and on trying to pronounce now how America, because of Israel, and again, he is just like most ignorant white people, he's implying that a land, which there is no such name as Israel the land, that is Israel the bloodline, from Jacob's name being changed to Israel. Wow. And therefore the 12 tribes or his 12 sons and that lineage was bestowed through Abraham, this land called Canaan or Palestine. Now, we won't go into Rocks Cry Out tonight, but I know you'll bring it up again, Sandra, in a future discussion. However, I'd like to point out something about the 13 colonies. Now, he was doing a lot of this symbology crap. If you ever pay close attention to the seal with the eagle, whether it's the presidential seal or on the back of the dollar, have you ever noticed that just above the eagle, there are those 13 stars that are basically formulated in a Star of David design?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. You know about the 13 arrows and the 13 olive branches, olives, and leaves.
Right.
Okay. He reiterated that, we continue to believe it's based on the 13 colonies. He then wanted to go into, whether you call it, gematria? Gematria is the symbolism of breaking down language. Each letter turns into a number, as opposed to geometry, which is using numbers for angles and other things of that nature to understand shapes, circle, triangle, cube, squares, etc. But he professed that it was because of the 13 tribes. Now, here's the thing. People think of it only the 12 sons, but they forget tribes split in two, Manasseh and Ephraim.
That's true.
That becomes the original 13, because Joseph was blessed through being cursed, being thrown down the well. Then his brothers sold him into slavery. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me on this, Sandra, was not Benjamin was the beloved one because he was left back, and Joseph said, "Please tend to this son, this brother," because he was beloved by Joseph.
Right.
And he was left back so that the father wouldn't grieve if something happened to the other 11 sons. And those 10 lied about selling Joseph into Egypt and into captivity. Okay. A lot of this is wrapped up into the symbology of, well, who sold us if we want to believe this African motif, this out of Africa business? Some people said, and you put this out, that video, the one talking about Africans and Negroes are not the same.
Yeah.
That British guy you were playing last week, he said that the Hebrews were the ones sold by Africans away from the continent.
That's what
now,
they
that's
said.
one side of the argument. Or the other side is like we've said, in references to Horace Butler, When the Rocks Cry Out, that we were over here. None of what we're told in the quote-unquote Middle East took place. It's in Peru, Cusco, Central and South America, the Yucatan. Much of what we've been told in this tale, story, or if you want to believe historical record called the Bible, did not this man claim Hebrew lineage? You've gone through this, 5 shows in demonology. King James claimed to be of Hebrew lineage. Nicknamed himself Jacob, and Jacob's the original name of Israel. Right? And all of these people are saying they have proof because they have it written down. Now, what is the truth? This is a kind of rhetorical question I'm posing, but that's the whole point of your Truth Uncompromised concept and the show. What is the truth if, A, I don't have an oral tradition, B, I'm not saying suck the blood, but I'm saying in the blood must be some information, if you get my drift here. The technology of DNA is starting to reveal that, not accurately, as you know, we're still dealing with tricksters, liars, and deceivers in the first place. And they're going to never seem to trace our blood to over here.
So they claim.
But Dane made a very interesting statement. How many of our corpses our ancestors' corpses, being dug up out of the ground? How many of them are actually being utilized with, when you're talking about DNA transfer of information, you have to have an actual ancestor. And right now, our only immediate ones is usually back to maybe our grandparents. If you're fortunate, a great-grandparent that either recently died or is still up, like 90 years, 100 years old, maybe. Now, speaking on that, you hear about the oldest veteran in America that died recently? I think it was just last year at 112.
Yep.
He smoked cigars, never went to a hospital, but then he caught the flu, went to a hospital, and died of complications of pneumonia. Isn't that it?
Well, we all know what time that is.
But what do you think happened to his remains?
You know, they
when we're talking about these stuff like that, Tuskegee experiment went on for 40 years. I'm actually here because my parents met at Tuskegee. Okay, 40 years from 1932 to 1972. What has been done with that information? That material, genetic, otherwise. And one last thing in the context of DNA. Are you familiar with Henrietta Lacks and the HeLa cells?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
The entire worldwide medical system literally is based on the virulence of this woman's one cell line of cancer.
Yep.
And it ain't about money. It's not even about money because you know they can never pay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you just take one layer of so-called medicine and treatment, all cancer treatment worldwide is based on this part of Mama Earth, Henrietta Lacks.
Yep, through a melanated woman. Let's be clear, through a melanated woman.
Right.
So I say all that to say, imparting, we used to do midwifery, or midwives. People don't understand what I'm saying. We used to do gravity-induced labor, meaning they squatted. We used to leave the umbilical cord and the placenta attached until it naturally expelled itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to do blood rituals for everything and every part of our existence in this world, because from the earth back to the earth. So where is our ancestors' blood screaming out? And I yield.
From the land. From the land. Thank you, brother. Very, very powerful. Thank you, brother. Peace and love. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good point. From the land is where the ancestors' blood screams from. Let me go to 973. And just to give a shout out, and I know they probably going to get off in a minute, I Am the Universe made an excellent point that the Star of David, it is a hexagram, geometrically speaking. Okay, so that also ties back into those origins of the languages when we talked about cuneiform, Sanskrit, et cetera, okay, and which also ties into sigils, because that's what sigils are. They're symbols. You create your own sigil through these particular angles to draw the energy, okay, and he also pointed out that Mexico is El Mexi, okay? So tying in the Olmec, okay? So folks don't want to talk about when they want to stake claim in these lands. They want to brush over Olmec, and I've even heard ridiculous things that, oh, well, you know, they just have wide noses because they just had wide noses back then. Okay, so the people today that you're saying are native or indigenous to the land, they don't wear braids, cornrows, they little beads up in the cornrows, have thick lips and broad noses no more. Oh, okay then. But Mookie them do, and still wear their hair like that to this day. Oh, okay then. All right. Okay. So let me bring on 973. 973, your line is open.
Peace and love, family. Peace and love to you, sister. This is
Peace and love.
Northwest Connection. How are y'all tonight?
You're kind of low, brother.
Yeah, it's going in and out. The connections are getting kind of bad nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you.
All right. I just I'm listening to y'all getting in very deep and going in so many different timelines and things, and it's all good because there is a connection with it all. There's a correspondence with it all. And I just wanted to throw in a piece of a puzzle that it's almost like a remnant of a truth hidden right in front of our face in terms of the lands and so forth. Just to add on to the where these places are and Rock Frial and things like that. Just the military song from the halls of Montezuma. It's short of stippling. I mean, come on. What else do we need in terms of clues, in terms of them telling on themselves? You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
I just want to throw that in as just a little puzzle.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, that's...
I got to, and I don't even want to say amen because I know where that comes from. But anyway, right on, brother.
Oh. Up.
Indeed. Thank you so much, brother. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Okay. But, you know, it is what it is, people. Folks want to believe what they want to believe. The universe just dropped real quick because he's in the chat room, and I apologize if you aren't he. He said the hexagram is a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional cube. So this is going back to, he's breaking down metaphysically what that Star of David is from a hexagram perspective. Okay? So now we're getting on the metaphysics side. All right, and then he goes, they don't teach that in the good old U.S. of A., and of course they don't. He said it goes all back to Ta, T-A-U, or Ta, T-A-W. You get that? So I says, and doesn't that cube represents the Merkaba or Merkaba ultimately? And he says, yeah. And he said, if one were to crush a pyramid, yes, it would appear on the surface as a cross. Absolutely, I am the universe. And when we put together the show on language, we're going to start bringing a lot of this information out because we're going to look at that cuneiform. And now Brother Sean reminded me I got to pull the Sanskrit in, the hieroglyphics and Hebrew, and to try to show the people how all of that ties back metaphysically to vibration. So thank you, I am the universe. I'm not sure if you're able to continue with us because we're going into overtime. But peace and love to you, and thanks so much for dropping that information to us. Powerful stuff. Okay. All right, family. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean. Y'all all been dropping it. Thank you, 832. You know I love you, brother. Thank you, 973, brother. Love you. Okay, go ahead, Brother Sean.
If you think about the movie Hellraiser and all the different dimensions and shapes that cube takes.
And see, I never watched that. Now you're going to make me go and watch that. But okay.
Yeah, but it shows you that it's actually different dimensions within the
That would make sense. That would make sense.
People are basically just on the surface level of it. They ain't never really tapped off into it, but in Hellraiser it shows you that there's nothing within it but lower dimensions. Everything is paying homage to a demiurge. You know, it's essentially hell. That's why it's called Hellraisers. And whatever type of fetish or whatever that individual was off into, that's what type of hell they were. And this one guy was such a sex thing that his hell within the cube was these naked women kept coming out on these little sliding boards and would slide back in before he could touch them. And all he could do was sit there and watch him slide in and out time.
And he couldn't get to him to do anything.
That was just one example. But I think the series had like 6 or 7 in all.
Wow. So inside of this cube, then, also to me, and I haven't seen it, kind of represents your individual macabre.
It can.
Yeah.
It's a trap to begin with.
Yep.
Like it's the worship of the cube.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a trap.
Yep.
All it leads to is those lower dimensions.
Damn.
Gives you the promise of everything that you want in the flesh. It promises you that.
Wow.
And it even gives you a certain amount of power while you're in the flesh, while you're here physically. But ultimately, at the end of it all, you got to give your soul back. If you're lucky enough, you can become a master in your own realm down there.
Right. You know, in regards to spells and stuff, he said that Hebrew was a frequency. Do you know that Hebrew is used today to contain and maintain power?
Absolutely.
When they speak Hebrew, and not this English stuff. This English stuff breaks the spell because we no longer have the power. But when you use that Hebrew in mass, it creates a frequency that maintains power. Hint, hint. And they made a certain group of people learn that Hebrew. And we forgot ancient languages. Our ancient languages. It's not English. We know that. So it was done for a reason. So we will not have the power anymore.
Right. And remember when I said earlier in the show, when we talk about language, that cuneiform is still not even the earliest language, because we had an earlier language before then. So if you had a war break out on Mother Earth, and the beings that were warring with the autochthonous ones of Mother Earth, they brought their own language, then of course they're going to be the masters of that language, because that language is formed for their purposes to shape different vibrations. That's why they didn't carry it forth.
And Black Panther, what did they use when they were doing their fighting? They were using vibrations to fight.
Exactly.
And they weren't not using English.
Exactly.
That's what they were showing too.
Exactly. And that's why I said, if you go back and watch Black Panther, you'll see those different languages. You'll see a little bit of cuneiform. You'll see Sanskrit, hieroglyphic, and Hebrew all mixed in there. Okay, that's for that purpose. That's telling you vibrations. So
it was like
very good point.
The walls of Jericho. They circled it 7 times, but they were shouting in a language.
And you know what the 7 represents, right?
Completion or the gods?
Well, they say completion. In their defense, they say completion. But that's completion only up to a certain realm. That's tied to the 7th heaven.
Right.
But the trick is to make the world think that 7 is completion when it is not. But that's only completion for those that cannot vibrate beyond those 7 realms. So, I'm sorry, Brother Sean, what you say?
Is there something?
I'm just thinking about the whole language thing on the whole. I mean, considering we communicated telepathically and most higher dimensional, quote-unquote, races are able to communicate telepathically. Thought travels faster than sound.
Yes, it does.
We used to be able to think of something and manifest itself.
Right.
Or think about each other and be able to communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually be in each other's presence with instantaneous transmission.
Yes.
So all this language thing, that's all part of the fall.
Yeah, and there's
it's
spells.
all part of the fall. So for us to even think that we would have power within any of those languages, trying to reclaim any of that. I'm not saying that at one point it didn't have power.
Right.
But obviously it didn't have enough power for us not to be overtaken.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it took them, I would guess, millions of years.
I would guess millions, too.
Because, I mean, we still got to figure out who the fuck cut down the goddamn trees.
Who cut down the trees, yep. And it's going to be exposed. Yep.
Who killed my dragons? This is shit I really want to know. I mean, if you motherfuckers is Billy Badasses, this, that, or the other. I mean, y'all all this, that, or the other. Just tell me the truth about those two things. Continue lying about everything, but we already know. I mean, I don't give a fuck if you're an alien, whoever the fuck you are.
Right.
Just holler at me on them two things. That's it. Who cut down the motherfucking trees and who killed my dragon?
Yep.
I know this may sound crazy to some of y'all, but I don't give a flying fuck.
But some know who you're talking about.
Right. Them motherfuckers just listening. They know who the fuck I'm talking to. Speak up,
yep.
bitch.
Yep.
I'm tired of you motherfuckers. For real, for real. Let's get this shit on. I'm tired of all this fake paperwork, all this bullshit, all these promises of money for everybody. This, that. You bitches don't belong here. What part of the deal are you supposed to have? None.
Exactly.
You ain't even earned the privilege to be here. Those of you that talk about this love and all this, that, and other, what the fuck you motherfuckers doing? You still reaping the benefits of being quote-unquote white.
Right.
You ain't gave up none of your privileges.
Yep. And I just wanted to point out, we didn't have time to read the story tonight, but you can go search it for yourself, that there was a dragon, the Aurora Borealis, over the Arctic, put a shape of a dragon. And I just cracked up. And so people were outside taking pictures of the shape of this dragon coming out, made out from the material of the Aurora Borealis. Yeah, Borealis. Yeah, coming out of the Arctic. And we've already talked about what that energy is. That's that black sun. So that's why I keep telling folk, y'all can keep sitting up here playing if you want to. You want to keep playing these illusionary games when the planet and the realm has moved on from all this illusionary bullshit. It's speaking to us every day through nature. So, I'm sorry, sis, go ahead.
Did you know I saw a video with King Drop? I always talk about that whatever his name is. Ahu, that the brother 832 was talking about. That's the name I always mess up, but that's who I've been talking about in his information that he gets out. But King Drop said in Japan that the mountains are developing dragon eggs, and they are dropping off of the mountain. So when you think about the trees that was chopped down, and now that the dragon eggs are dinosaurs on my brain, but it's dragons are hatching. The dragons are hatching off a mountain in Japan, and they worship those eggs that are being hatched, and I also saw that in the United States they have some dragon beaches and preserves that they won't tell people about, but the rocks are actually
crying out
dragon eggs, and they're hatching. They're going to be hatching when it's time.
They fossilized. It's like part of the whole mud fossil thing. They thinking that eggs are just coming out of the mountains and not realize that obviously that's a fossilized dragon.
Right, it's a fossilized dragon.
Oh, well, when shit starts flying across the sky, the motherfucking sky.
They have been doing that too. They've been doing that. They've been flying across the sky.
And and you see, 4, 5 suns, because I'm telling you, y'all, it's coming. It's coming. It is what it is. So, hopefully you have yourself prepared, because again, I don't care who talking about some contract, who talking about what somebody supposedly and allegedly gonna do. The last word, and who always gonna have the last word, is Mother Earth, and she do it the way she wanna do it. So people can keep playing if they want to in this illusionary game with these trinkets, when all along she's showing you that she's shifting. That's on you. Like I said, you stand outside, you had that motherfucking conversation with her yourself as that plasma hitting you in the ass and dragons flying above your motherfucking head. That's on you. Okay, so I know we're about 15 after. So I wanted to get into, and this kind of ties into Brother 832 about the going into slavery. But this is talking about that Stewart bloodline going into slavery. Okay, so I'm in the Negro Question Part 6, the 13th Black Colonies by Brother Lee Cummings. All right, so he starts getting into the ship manifest on, I'm not going to read it all. Oh, wait a minute, y'all. Let me make sure, because I don't want to. I said I want to run through some of these surnames too. My bad. I don't have to back up, y'all, because we got to run through some of these surnames. All right, so he starts on page 117. Actually 116. Ships manifest and Black Scots. Okay, so I say again, for people that's pushing the out of Africa theory, for indigenous melanated people, show me the manifest, because they exist. Show me the manifest. All right, so here we go. Ship manifest and the Black Scots. He said, I want to take a few pages and discuss the so-called convicts that were sent into 13 colonies by the English. I have read plenty of books on this subject, and I have discovered that the word convict has been misapplied to these political prisoners. When we think of convicts in this generation, we imagine thieves, murderers, pedophiles, rapists, and politicians. But that was not the case with these convicts. These convicts were political prisoners. The convicts that were sent into the colonies as free men or indentured servants were the nobles, princes, barons, and princesses. Keep in mind that this was a later group of black Europeans flooding into the colonies. When these black Scottish political prisoners arrived in the 13 colonies, the government had already been established by the free black Scots. Now, I'm going to say that again. So I want people, this is putting melanated folks on notice as well as Caucasian people on notice about the true establishment of the U.S. corporation, what y'all are calling the government today, and to the Caucasian people that you calling the motherfucking founding fathers. Let's be clear. Keep in mind that this was later a group of black Europeans flooding into the colonies. When these black Scot political prisoners arrived in the 13 colonies, the government had already been established by the free black Scots. Okay? So now this particular brother, the author of this book, is noting the passage of Isaiah 23:13. Behold, the land of the Chaldeans. This land was not till the Assyrians founded it for them that dwell in the wilderness. They set up towers thereof, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just pointing that out, that everybody that keeps referring back to the Bible to tie back where the Hebrews were going, that's why I said we need to keep in mind that those particular stories of slavery and movement can apply to a lot of places, because we're talking about this one bloodline that spread across the planet. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
When Isaiah said that about those Assyrians, guess who they are?
Who?
Do you have an idea? The Native American. They are Assyrians. They came over here as Assyrians, took over everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. You're right. You're right, sis.
That's who he's referring to.
Yep. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so he goes on to say that okay, he says that the black founding Scots, they set up the government of the 13 colonies, and the whites took it over. Okay, so he said, I have in my possession ships manifest that give a description of the black stewards and the other Highlanders that were deported into the colonies. All right, and before I forget, anybody that carries that last name Stewart, you may want to do some research in your lineage. You know who I thought of recently with that last name, and I kind of chuckled to myself, was Sister Sophia Stewart, that wrote, whose work they stole, that wrote The Matrix and Terminator and all of that. So that's something that she may want to check in with her carrying that last surname. All right. So deportees from England to Virginia, 1716. So this is coming from passenger list, and he gives it, this is off the National Archives, okay? And so this is why when people try to tell me that their ship manifests on Africans, that supposedly that's where majority of the melanated autochthonous folks of the Americas came from, Africa, and I asked for the ship manifest, I get piecemeal information. When the National Archives holds this information, and they don't have a list, a long laundry list of no millions of folks coming from no Africa. They just don't. Okay, so I don't want it from some second or third source. I want it from the National Archives because I know they hold that information.
They keep records.
All right, exactly. So this is from England's London, England's National Archives, and it was published by the Government of Record Office. It says Colony Series, America and West Indies, 1574 to 1739. All right, so Scipio, and it lists 95 prisoners that boarded this ship, Scipio, at Liverpool. It got dates and everything. March 30th, 1716. And it says 95 rebel prisoners. All right. Let me see. It lists the commander and everything. So this is when I say, when people come to me with the fuckery on the out of Africa, come with some ship manifests from the National Archives because it's going to give you details.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here we go. I'm getting to the okay, and this was bound for Virginia. The Black Scots were described as prisoners or rebels because they were trying to re-establish Black Scottish rulership in England after the Civil War. All right, so let's get to this motherfucking manifest. They list the passengers by name. Now, I'm not going to run through all of them. He only highlighted. Did he go through all 90-something? He just highlighted some of the big ones. So out of this one that we talking about, the 1716 folks, he named by number. He didn't go through the whole thing. He only went to the key ones. Alex Stewart, 76. Charles Stewart, 77. Daniel Stewart, 78. Daniel Stewart, 79. 80. Daniel Stewart. John Stewart, 81. John Stewart, 82. John Stewart, 83. John Stewart, 84. William Stewart, 85. Peter Cumming, 12. Peter Cumming, 13. Okay, so that's just a highlight of the stewards coming from England into Virginia in 1716. So you could clearly see these are the stewards from King James and them line. All right, so he goes to another manifest ship, Hockenhill. This was coming out of Liverpool, and this was going to, what's he saying, West Indies, June 25th. Let me see. He gave the captain, SC, Board of Trades and Secretary of State, America and West Indies. Okay, so we still have Secretary of States and shit to this day. So again, people, don't play with me when it comes to this documentation. You can't sit up and make these blind statements anymore. Back up and prove what you're saying because the stuff exists. Okay, because at the end of the day, this was still commerce as well. All right, so here we go. He given a highlight. Andrew Ramsey, Mark Bennerman, Archdiocese Christie, Walter Stewart, James Curry, Lawrence Charter, James Hayes, John Ridley, James Connelton, Robert Cresswell, Patrick Gardner, James Collington, Patrick Murray, William Henderson. Okay, Henderson, you know who I'm talking to. Henderson, you know who I'm talking to. Number 14. Let me reread this. Coming out of Liverpool, June 25th, 1716. Not indigenous to the land. Not that name. Do your research.
Also coming over here as a convict.
For prisoner of war.
Prisoner of war. That's what we're supposed to be anyway.
No, I'm just saying that don't sound like the Son of Man.
I'm just pointing it out. I'm just giving the surname. Okay, so Henry Ogleby, Thomas Damahoy, William Hardwick, Walter McLerney, William Murray, John Robinson, Don Cameron, Alex Kennedy, and Kennedy is spelled differently, y'all. I found that interesting. Alex McIntosh, Kennedy Bean, Donald McPherson, and that kind of tripped me out with that McPherson name because that's riddled through the Americas also. John McCoy, William Ramsey, Thomas Mackenzie, Law Ophiant. Okay, so that was that particular line. That was off of that ship manifest. So ship Wakefield, Liverpool, England to South Carolina, the Americas. I got to take a sip, y'all.
You may find yourself on it.
I'm reading so much. Okay, so now I'm rum. Don't they use the story of South Carolina where all of the slaves came from Africa? Okay, I'm just bringing to you what the book is saying now. I'm just bringing it to y'all. So he, lists ship Wakefield out of South Carolina. This one was April 21st, 1716. So all three of these ships was shipping out these rebels and prisoners of war 1 month behind the other in the year of 1716. And so it says, I am commander by Royal Highness to transmit to you the enclosed list of rebel prisoners who have been ordered to be transported to South Carolina, and I am signify to you HRH pleasure that you do with all convenient speed return exact list of those rebel prisoners that have landed in that province, that the same may be laid before His Royal Highness. Okay, so in other words, they kept records. They kept records, folks, because they had to document these ship manifests with the motherfucking Board of Trade and Secretary of State. So don't play with me. Come with receipts.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay. So he was just going on to say that ship Wakefield Stewart convict passenger. So he's calling out Donald Stewart. Passenger number 79, bro, wasn't playing. He came with his motherfucking receipt. He even gives you the number of the passenger. Date, all of that. Location. So come with your receipts. Okay, so he's pointing out passenger 79 off of the Wakefield. These official ships manifests are like hidden nuggets of gold if you understand timelines. You better believe it, brother. Now we know that there was no slavery in the Carolinas as late as 1716. This is critical. King George I was the first black German king that sat on the throne of England during the deportation of these black Jacobites, the Scots, British, and the Irish in the year of 1715. These rebels were in fact princes from the royal house of Stuart and the other Highland royal houses who tried to reinstate the Stuarts to the throne of the three kingdoms. The Stuarts were shipped all over the West Indies, Barbados, Leeward Islands, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, Antigua, Cayman Islands, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, and Antigua, St. Lucia, Grenadine, Americas, and Turk Islands. If you live on one of these destinations and your last name is Stewart, you are probably a descendant of King James VI of Scotland.
King James VI, hot dog.
Okay, so I got to take another sip of my little wah-wah behind that, y'all. You know that blew my wig back when I first read it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Well, I guess that might explain why the Jamaicans speak such proper Queen's English.
Don't it make sense? Don't it make sense?
Other than that, they speaking in patois and you can't understand the goddamn thing they say. But when it comes to that Queen's English,
you be like,
you hear everything crystal clear.
You hear
like you can talk, huh?
Right.
Wow. No wonder they won't give them Social Security cards over there or nothing. Some of them can't even get a Social Security card when they come here.
And again, the key, all of this was key points. But again, we had already told y'all that. Brother Sean and I have been telling y'all that the story of slavery is not what they've been telling you. So here again, this brother is backing it up with receipts. That King George I, a melanated black German king. Remember, I told y'all it was that German bloodline fighting the other side of the bloodline, the Scots, Brits, and Irish. So he was shipping them off to the Americas. Because the bottom line, all of the places the brother just named, Barbados and all that, that's still the Americas at the end of the day.
It is.
Okay, and in 1716, there was no slavery in Carolinas. So, not the way they were saying slavery happened. So, I'm still waiting on the motherfucking record. And come with it properly. Come with it laid out. Okay. So, he goes on another ship manifest. This is ship Elizabeth and Anne, 1716. He has a Robert Stewart, Duncan Clark. I don't know if that's Duncan Clark Robertson. He has Owen McPherson, Donald Shaw, Malcolm Stewart. And that reminds me, what is Malcolm X's real name, y'all?
Malcolm Little.
Okay, I thought it was Malcolm Stewart Little, but that's okay. Okay, whatever. William Turner, Agnes Shaw, James Nesbitt, James McIntosh, John Dunbar, Kennedy, Rob Smith, Francis Hume. If you look closely at the ship manifest, Elizabeth and Anne, you see that the last name Stewart is represented. These Stewarts are the descendants of King James. The name Stewart will occur frequently on more than one ship manifest because the royal seed is being deported into the colonies. And so he goes on just to name some more of the names on this particular ship, and I'm manifest. I'm just going to read the last name to save my little voice. We have Watts, McKenzie, Woods, Donaldson, Robertson, Abbott, McQueen, Bruce, Wright, Kaplan, Pittelow, Peter, Ferguson, Johnston, Finney, Malcolm, Ferguson, Stroke, Ferguson, Mitchie, McIntosh, Ferguson, McAruth, Donaldson, McIntosh, Noble, Kerr, Grant, Uquarth, Duncan, Brown, Ray, McNaughton, Sorey, Mitchell, Prophet, Glendinning, Major Bank, Harris, Chisholm, Finley, Patterson, Arndt, Peter, Ogilvy, Watson, Lindsay, Johnson. Okay, and then it says, look at the map on the next page. The white English shipped the entire Black Highland population of Scotland into the American colonies. These Black Scots were the indentured servants that you read about in high school, but to hide the truth, they simply reclassified the Blacks as white indentured servants. Okay, so I don't know if I agree all with that. I think it was a little bit of both. Because we do know that whites came over as indentured servants. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
Oh, there was a study I had in school in the 1500s. Maybe not 1500. They said 1,500 freedmen landed in Texas. So those were the freedmen, right? The royals being kicked off into Indian territory.
Yep.
Whoa.
So he just, I know it's deep. So he just goes into another ship, John and Sarah of 1650. That was, he just lists the stewards up out of that. And then there's ship, the Goodspeed on 1716. This was up in October. It was a couple of stewards on that, and to show you, that's why I want the motherfucking receipts out of Africa. I want the motherfucking receipts because he shows on this manifest who were the purchasers of Daniel Stewart and John Stewart. So don't play with me. Bring receipts. Now, this is the big one, y'all, out of the ship New York, 1739/1740. So he kind of pulled together the manifest from those particular times. And so all of these surnames we're going to be familiar with. Wood, Mary, Myers, Ward, Wood, Sullivan, Evans, Price, Watson, Land, Meredith, Stewart, because they got Stewart spelled a couple of ways with the E-R and then the A-R-T. Jackson, McLeod, Dunkersley, Plummer, Ward, Dean, Hubbard, Cook, Stanley, Turner.
Did you say Hubbard?
Yes, ma'am. H-U-B-B-A-R.
Oh, my God.
And then this particular passenger has a Hebrew name, Ephraim Hubbard. Cook, Stanley, Turner, Underwood, Maxwell, Anderson, Franklin, Brown, Eakin, Warren, Meyer, Johnson, Peartree, Hughes, Irving, Edmund, Bartley, Smith, Jones, Henney, Cardell, Harr, Went, Kingsman, Sumner, Beats, Birchmore, Hastings, Green, Matthews, Wither, Morgan, Hardcastle, Smith, Deacon, Jones, Powell. There goes Stewart again. Castle, Delane, Dugan, Groom, Price, Cole, Fowl, Brockwell, Tizard, Green, Faulkner, Patterson, Beasley, Stringer, Shaw, Littard, Blackick, Chapman, Downs, Gatis, Reynolds, Peake, Smith, Mitchell, Anderson, Thomas, Graves, Brown, Wilson, Davis, Stiles, Patterson, Berry, Claxton, Groom, Bolton, Smith, Abbott, Ellis, Winter, Wicks, Grove, Peake, Blake, Bignell, Ford, Williams, Seal, Street, Flack, Heckman, Belgrove.
Oh, my God.
Those are coming into New York.
New York? Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. So they were the rebels, prisoners of wars, and some of them were tied to the bloodlines, the royal bloodlines, the Stewarts now.
Wow, there's a lot of names I know.
I did a sister know too. Shit, my surname.
Oh
is
my God.
Yeah. Absolutely. My surname on one of the sides of the family is on there. Absolutely. So that's why melanated people, when you are researching your bloodline, don't let it throw you off when you see one side tied back to overseas. That's why.
What was the name of that ship?
That one was, because he did that one, this was for 2 years worth of time. So
that was the good ship. Right?
No, the good ship was year. The Godspeed was 1716. The one that I just named all of these names, that was ship York, but he combined the years from 1739 to 1740. And he was saying Blackwell, March 22nd, 1739/40, a list of 115 felonies and convicts shipped from Newgate by Andrew Reed Esquire on board the York, Captain Anthony Bacon, Commander board. Okay, my bad, y'all. That was to Maryland. My fault. That was to Maryland.
That's to Maryland, not New York?
Yeah, that was Maryland.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Yep. So, again, he was just saying that he's showing you in these ship manifests that Stewart, and they had it spelled different ways. So, if your last name is Stewart, don't think it has to be spelled Stewart. It can be Stewart, Steward, Stuart, or even C word, Seward. More than likely, you tie back to the King of Scott, King James and them bloodline. So when you're doing your research, if you see that family tree, go back over to England. That's why it's going back. Because
Cummings book. Cummings book 6, huh?
I'll read. This is the Negro Question Part 6, the 13 Black Colonies. This is Lee Cummings. That's why I'm telling y'all, I would highly recommend y'all go get this book because brother brought the receipt.
Well, the problem is if you tell people that they're not slaves, and you're Indians, they go say, no, I'm not, I'm black. But if you show them where their name's in the book, they may shut up, huh? Maybe?
Right. Because typically what folks are seeing when they're researching their lineage, I know I saw it on my side, part of the lineage goes back over to England. The other part is indigenous.
And some other parts are indigenous, exactly. And they intermarried with the indigenous.
Exactly.
Because they were melanated too.
Exactly.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if the royals were being shipped over here as convicts and POWs during those times, if being sent over here was a punishment, how was it the Moors had a kingdom established here? Because getting sent to one of your kingdoms, I don't see how that's punishment. Now, I'm just going by the information that's presented.
Right.
They came over here, merged in with the indigenous culture.
That's right.
Then at some point decided that they was going to form colonies here to set it up because they were former royals and they were former conquerors. And they like these people here, they all right. They're generous. Everything that's going on.
They got all of this land. They got all of this.
Us like we one of them.
We probably are to them.
No, what I'm saying is, you talking about parasites and conquerors to begin with.
Yep.
You talking about a people whose very lineage supposed to go back to the Bible.
Yep.
Where their God is all about conflict.
Yep.
In the very beginning, the first story, the first two brothers wasn't until us.
Right.
So you're talking about a people that's greedy, selfish, and murderous by their very inception.
Yep.
So what I'm thinking is, considering that they married off to some of our bloodlines and this, that, and the other, that's part of what started creating all this animosity within our people.
I think so too.
I mean, this is some ancestral.
I think so too.
People keep trying to get a white man credit for quote unquote black people not getting along.
I've been trying to say that.
During the beginning of all this, before there is white, and there's conquering and everything going on, and it's all quote unquote black.
Yep, it's black on black crime.
It is. That's probably why we fight all the time, huh?
So, I mean, we still have issues within us that we have to deal with.
Yep.
The quote-unquote white man is an anomaly that's going to be gone eventually. I mean, people been saying that forever, but no, they ain't. Because if you leave it to the white man, he always been here and he always going to be here. So, they could shut up with that. I mean, the birth rate is showing you that
it's telling a different story. Yeah, they really were supposed to blend back in, but that's a separate story. We'll digress from that.
I mean, that's basically what's been happening anyway. They thinking that they're doing these things to be able to preserve their bloodline.
But it's too late.
Even if you're mixing your seed, if that person that you're mixing your seed with ain't vibrating high enough to pass over anyway,
it's going to die anyway. It's going to die anyway. Yep.
So natural selection is going to take place anyway. Mama know who her children are.
Right. And she gonna deal with all. Ain't nobody escaping.
They say that their history is through the Anunnaki and this, that, and that, but they admit that they're not from here.
Yep.
Wow.
Or whoever they say that they threw. If the Anunnaki created them here, then that means that they weren't from here. They had to be created. We was always here. People.
Well, the Olmecs, they weren't here. They're not from here either. The Olmecs, as far as I heard.
Well, I mean, we don't know really who from here. I mean, as far as the oral traditions, this, that, other, we really don't have a whole Olmec tradition to
we really
know.
don't. We really
don't.
No,
we don't. And the Mayans as well, and the Aztecs.
And I heard that those are fossilized heads. That those are actually giants, not statues that somebody made.
That would make
but
sense.
Those are actual fossilized heads.
Well, we soon gonna find out who is who.
They gonna wake up.
Well, and you know, even if they don't wake up, what you say, Brother Sean?
We powerful enough to do that. We powerful enough to do that. We got.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And even if those things don't awaken, and Brother Sean called this out the gate, going on 2 years now, that everybody better be where they supposed to be in regards to this land, because it's about a vibration thing. So people can keep playing if they want to. Mama gonna show you who you are. She gonna show you exactly who you are. So you ain't got to worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't believe nobody. Don't do no type of spiritual work. Keep on doing what you're doing. She'll show you.
But people are bringing that stuff back to life. called DNA. That's why they're still able to cut off the stone and stuff. And you have these bleeding rocks because they're actually cutting off into giants.
That's true.
We don't know what they're extracting out of there.
Right.
They know it's there. They get in the DNA.
Right.
People forget carbon doesn't die.
That's
why
right.
they can't carbon date shit, because it's alive.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You charge up these stones and stuff, these crystals, which are the fossilized, mineralized body parts or blood or whatever from these beings. We can charge those up.
Right.
Harriet lack.
So
she's simple.
So basically, we can bring them back to life if we were working with a higher knowledge of vibration. In order for them to become fossilized, they were slowed down. Their frequency was slowed down.
True.
Yep.
So if you speed that frequency back up, I'm telling these people, I'm getting my clan of dragons back. That's what I tell you. I'm getting my dragons. That's your ass.
Well, that's on them.
Another thing, as far as for the volcanoes. Now, we have phosphorus in our body. That's why you had these cases of people with the spontaneous self-combustion. Now, volcanoes wasn't always here. Now, they take it back to these giants and they fossilized bodies. All these gases, methane, and all this stuff that's coming up the ground, that's coming from the body.
That would make sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And so is that volcano. So, for all you scientists, Dr. Neil and all you folks, it ain't no big ball of whatever at the core.
Magma, right.
It's bubbling up through.
Right. Right. Very good point. Okay, we have only about 8 minutes. I do want to squeeze this in because I don't want to leave you hanging because I want to give you the bombshell on Harriet Tubman real quick. Okay, so the Stuart Royal House, the entire Scotland Highlands was deported into the 13 colonies during the Civil War of England. Okay, and so he just goes on to say that's why he presented you with the multiple ship manifest so you can see those Stuart names. And so he's saying in every generation, the Stuarts would continue to name their sons after a male relative so the name would not die out in earth. That name keeps popping up as Stuart on the ship's manifest, James, Charles, and William. Okay, so we're going to go to, and then he just lists the passage of Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5 and 6, where the scriptures are telling them to keep carrying their name forward so Israel would not be blotted out. Okay, so he said, this is the reason why Stuarts kept renaming their son James after King James Stuart, Charles after Charles I, and Charles II, and William after William the Conqueror. The Stuarts used subtle names that only another Hebrew would understand. When you get to the section of Harriet Tubman, you will be blown away when you see that her real last name was Stuart. Is there a ship manifest out there that gives a physical description of the Jacobite and the Stuarts that came to America as convict and political prisoners? Yes, and you will be amazed. Okay, so just real quick, I'm going to jump over to the Harriet Tubman stuff. That's on page 148. The math says that the Black Stuarts that Harriet Tubman Stuart rescued from the South were in fact the seed of King James Stuart. What was Harriet Tubman Ross Stuart really doing in the South? This woman was rescuing the royal seed of the kings called Stuart. The seed of the Black Highlanders, plain and simple. Ross was one of the titles that the kings of Stuart held in Scotland. And so he gives reference to that particular name, Ross, on page 35 through 38 of the book. And what is he saying? And so that name goes back to the Earl of Ross and Walter Stewart. Okay,
wow.
So it was saying the plot thickens when Harriet Tubman Ross Stewart rescues a black man from slavery named William Henry Stewart. It is important to note that this man's lineage names appears on different ships manifest as a political prisoner. Okay,
wow.
So then it goes on to say, when Harriet Ross Tubman and her family made it to Canada, they dropped the last name Ross, which that comes from that Earl of Ross, and assume the title Stewart. This can't be a coincidence. Okay. So yeah, so we're gonna end on that note. Huh?
You said Ross?
Ross, R-O-S-S.
Oh, Ross. Okay.
Yeah, R-O-S-S. Yeah, but that Ross, I know where you're going with that. We traced them back to the Venetians last week. So, okay, we only have 3 minutes. Sis, you have any last words for the family?
I am very flabbergasted. That is
I told y'all.
Good. I mean, that is absolutely excellent. It just makes everything,
it makes
gel.
sense. It fits.
It makes sense. And I want to tell people, too, sometimes when you're trying to find out your heritage here, you got to say that you're looking for the American Indian, your Indian heritage, because they won't give it to you otherwise on those DNAs. If you're going to do that stuff, I wouldn't do it, because they're just trying to find ways to get rid of you.
I don't know what the hell they doing with my DNA. They can go fuck themselves. I'm good, bruh. I got exactly what I needed through the surname.
You can. You can do all that.
I keep it on together. I'm good.
It is awesome what you just read. It's very informative.
So now you know, melanated people, where those surnames came from, and when you're doing your genealogy, if you think you got stuck because you're overseas, you're not really stuck. Your bloodline really does trace back to that. So, Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, family. So I'm not going to rush through this. We're going to do a part 7 because we still got to go over the charters of the Americas.